Testing. Hello. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we've made it. Welcome in. The REMINGTOM podcast is live. Another Tuesday edition. Another Tales from the Couch. Sucker Marcelo, we're taking the bet. I don't know. Are we going to have to go through the Spotify and see when the last time we did it? What is the time in podcasting? Like, if you introduce a bit and then don't use it for a while, does it become public domain? Maybe we're just going to start becoming the Robin Hood of podcasts. We'll just start taking bits from the rich and giving them out to the poor. But after a while, like, ESPN is public domain at this point. You know, if there's a topic, if Stephen A says something, it's anybody can take a Stephen A take. No, shout out Stephen A. Shout out Shannon. Is Ocho at ESPN now? I was seeing highlights of him on First Take. So who knows even who's left over there at this point, chat. But we were excited to get to watch an exciting point guard battle between Steph Curry and Jalen Brunson tonight. And then there was rumors that, well, not rumors, but, you know, word that maybe Steph Curry wouldn't be on the court tonight. He rolled his ankle the other night against Charlotte in the hometown, chat. Against the hometown team, you think that it would be a night for him to just obliterate the team, score 50 points, just make everything. It's like the one time that the Hornets can actually feel good about losing to a team and maybe a star player having a dominant performance. Like, I feel like Charlotte fans might be enough invested into the whole, you know, Curry family, Curry storyline. Maybe is there a poly market, like 2% chance, 0.5% chance that Steph Curry might go to the Hornets someday? So they would be pretty invested in him having a pretty great night and being entertaining in front of that crowd. But unfortunately got hurt. So he was putting the matchup tonight in jeopardy with him and Brunson, and he is out there. But as we sit down to fire up this first quarter, chat, he was on the bench with some pretty intense knee wrap ice bag situations going on. Again, it was the ankle that they're concerned about. And I'm not going to lie, chat. I even hate saying it. I even hate bringing it up and putting it out there. Pause. But when they mentioned that Steph rolled his ankle against Charlotte, I mean, he's definitely had ankle tweaks in the past prior. You know, he had the stretch, obviously, early in his career when he was dealing with ankle, like he had ankle issues. And then since then, I feel like he's maybe had a couple of individual ankle injuries. But something about this rolled ankle, I was like, oh no, hopefully this is not the start of the end for Steph Curry. You know, we're back at square one with the ankles. It's the magic spell, the ankles, you know, they've turned back into pumpkins, chat, and he's just going to go back to not being able to be on the court as consistently. But fortunately, he was giving it a go tonight, and he's not out there to start the second quarter. Warriors fans, get in the chat. What is the Steph Curry sub patterns? Is he usually out there 11:45, 11:38? I feel like start to second quarter, this first quarter, second quarter break is pretty typical in the rotation. But they're going back and forth right now, chat. It's 11.5 minutes on the Sling stream right now. 27-26 campaign. Yeah, he's not going to make it 28-26, that's for sure. He's going to miss it. But like we said, we're just sitting down to watch this. So the only piece of analysis we have so far is the Warriors were running some zone to end the quarter at one point, chat. And then Shamet had a 3-point, but his foot was on the line. So he apparently can't do anything right either. But again, Butler is playing tonight as well, too. So that was another part of the Steph Curry injury that was unfortunate. And another part of at least the risk of having maybe two superstars in their 30s as well, too, partnering up. And, you know, you think even like in Phoenix, Durant, of course, is... Him and Curry are on similar timelines. Durant's been in the league a couple years even longer than Curry. Oh, did we get a fan taking a basketball to the sideline? Oh, man. Is that Coco Jones, chat? Common? What is happening on the New York bench sideline right now? What is going on? But apparently the passes are going errant into the fan base and taking out the fans. Shout out to Common, though. Are we gonna need to put that comment out and back in rotation, chat? Every time it's always we're gonna need to, and then next time we think about it, we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna need to. But shout out to Common Man again. He's in the playlist. He's always meant to be bumping. The problem is, you know, a lot of the peak Common stuff is done over a lot of Kanye production, and we're not the type of guy that is. You know, they're not gonna like eliminate Kanye out of our playlists or anything like that. You know, we can be honest here, chat. I think if we went through you guys' Spotify and Apple Music, we'd say it would all be a similar situation. We can pull up the numbers. Graduation's still, you know, getting almost 4 million listeners a day, so people are still bumping the music. But he's definitely been a little bit more lax in the rotation right now. A little bit of a rotational pause for Kanye at the moment. So we'll see what happens if Bully drops later this year, if that'll get the hype back up, chat, or something. But again, a lot of that comes. So I feel like maybe that should help, because a lot of the way to skirt, you know, like maybe here, because you're hearing Kanye right now. It's like, yeah, it's just not all that great. Again, even some of the songs are just that iconic. Just maybe the voice right now is not necessarily the thing you want in your head. But pause. Hey, yo. But some of the way to skirt around that is to listen to some of the Kanye production, like the Lil Wayne beat on Carter 3 that he does, the Kanye beat. He has a couple of Kanye beats on that, but he's got one that's more like laid back. It's the same sample that he uses with the Alicia Keys song on the Diary of Alicia Keys album as well. He uses the sample at the end, but then flips the sample into the whole Lil Wayne track. And that song might be a top 5. If we did Spotify Wrapped right now, chat, we'd have to see. But regardless, why are we saying? Oh yeah, shout out to Common. He's at the bench right now. He's not on the bench. He's on the sideline. Maybe they could use him on the bench, chat. Curry goes down, out for the game. Sub in Common. Common's played a little bad. He was in the celebrity game. You know, he's messed around. Common, I mean, I feel like any rapper, if you subbed him into an NBA game, they would all of a sudden be like, hey, you know what? They think I can play. Like, I'm going to take a couple of shots. Make no mistake. You put any rapper in an NBA game, they get the ball, and the shot's going up, chat. It's just what it is. But I feel like Common, he might have some common sense about, he might be, he might take an open shot with some confidence. But I could see some passing, some movement, some IQ there. You know, Common's a veteran of the game. He knows what's up. He's been sidelined to a lot of Knicks games. You know, Chad, you throw Boss Mandilo in the game. I feel like Boss Mandilo's putting up like 5 shots in a row, and you're like, okay, Boss Man, we got to settle down here. Remember, Brunson's on the team. He's like, no, man, this is my moment. I'm going for a 10-day. They're putting me in. Is that a way they need to spice up the... They're trying to get engagement into the fans, chat, and into the season. It's like the players don't want to play in the regular season. All these guys, they load management, yada, yada, yada. Maybe they just need to make a empty spot on the team for like a fan to just get selected to play in the game. And then all the fans are going to... Maybe it'll be the fans in attendance, but you're trying to get the TV ratings up as well, too. So... I don't know, do you have to like watch the game on TV for like some kind of code or something? They start doing codes, chat, on TV? I mean, doesn't 2K do it? The video games will start working that in there, so maybe the NBA needs to think about it. But I mean, if the star player isn't going to want to play, just throw a guy out. Any of us will do it, chat. We'll do it for free. Like I said, we'll sign up for the opportunity to just have a couple minutes in the game, chat. So there's maybe a way to increase some engagement. Shout out to Beyonce. I don't know if that Levi Jeans commercial song was, I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know which one came first. Like, did Levi go to her and they say like, hey, let's make a song. If we have a Beyonce song as an anthem, like that's going to be a really pretty good promotional push for our products. Or if she's just like, hey, I'm making a country album. I'm going to drop a song about Levi Jeans, and guess what? They're probably going to hit me up, and it's going to be a big endorsement. I don't know who played their hand first there, but I wouldn't be surprised either. Either way, both are very, very, very reasonable and smart business moves. Again, if you're like, commercializing in the album or whatever, it's like, well, guess what? The song is still good. So playing a good song, and if you get a endorsement deal out of it, you get an endorsement deal out of NBA players will get an endorsement deal out of their names or the way they play or, a quote they have or something. Or Edwards, like his charisma. He had the Receipts commercial there for a while after they lost or something? I felt like I was going back, you get the YouTube autoplay sometimes and you just like, you listen to one Rosillo pod and the next thing you know, it's like these old Rosillo pods are firing up. It's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just leave that on in the background. No reason to turn that off, chat. Pause. But there was some talk about, he was talking about the Edwards Receipts commercial at one point. I'd forgotten about that, and I forget exactly at what point that had happened. But, yeah, hopefully we should pay attention. When's Curry going to get back out there, chat? When are we going to get Steph? We want to see Steph. We want to see Brunson. And like we said, we want to see Steph and these aging superstars. You hate to put it that way, chat, but Steph and LeBron and these guys playing at the peak of their powers. This is why Durant needs to request a trade, chat. It's not even just that the Suns are no good and all that stuff, but as fans, we need Durant in a good situation. The league is better when Durant is, if we can still have Durant playing high-level basketball, the league is better when he's playing that high-level basketball in high-level situations and impacting stuff and being one of the top guys. When that's the big three, chat. Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, the hip-hop, the state of hip-hop is really great when those three guys are all cooking and all doing their thing. The NBA is still kind of like that a little bit. And that's even with Giannis and Jokic. As much as, we got Giannis on the other screen, chat, right now. As much as, we love Giannis, as much as we love Jokic, we all know from a marketing standpoint, it's still those top guys. And I don't know if we need to pull up the jersey sales or anything like that. I know Tatum for a while for the jersey sales was actually up there. Was he number one for a second? I thought I saw something recently. It's like, wait a second. Tatum's got the best-selling jersey in the league. The kids, chat. Maybe Tatum does have the aura. Coward. What do you picture when you close your eyes? The $110 you blew on his jersey? Pause. Or how much is a jersey? Inflation in Trump's America. How much is a jersey, chat? I guess we'll find out in a little bit. If you guys want to distract yourself from Trump's addresses to the nation, I guess this is the spot, chat. Welcome in for all those avoiding politics and stuff happening. I mean, the problem is it is important, so of course you have to actually tune in and see what's going on. But I mean, of course we're here right now, chat, so there's a good chance that we won't go just like start watching the address on our feed as well. Like, I don't know if we'll get pulled down for that or not, but free speech, chat. I mean, if we were on what's the YouTube relationship with Trump? What's the YouTube guy in the Trump administration? Maybe if he's up there pretty high, then they'll let the address play out on our feed for free. But it's also one of those things, like, you can't pause, but there's only so much of it you can take live. It's just like only a couple sentences at a time, and it's like, oh man, I gotta digest, and we gotta brace ourselves for the next couple of sentences. And it's just what it is, chat. But it's unfortunately an important time, so you do have to be in the know with what's going on. But regardless, like we said, Warriors Knicks is playing, so multiple screens, chat. Even if it is on, it's not big screen material. It's small screen background, just for the sake of what it is. But regardless, there is a lot we could get into as well, chat. There's some NFL stuff kind of in the works. We didn't even mention the Combine on the last one, so I still need to go through and see what was going on in the Combine, chat. What were these guys up to? Nobody wants to play in the Combine anymore, and I have been thinking a lot about that as well too, especially this year with Shedeur and Cam Ward not throwing at the Combine. And last year, I feel like the top quarterbacks haven't really thrown at the Combine that much recently anyways. Richardson threw at the Combine. I'm trying to remember, but did Bryce Young throw? Stroud may have. I don't even remember, chat, but those, Stroud and Bryce Young were probably going to go number one. And, those were top 5 draft picks anyways. Those were guys that didn't necessarily need the Combine to try to improve their stock. They were going to be pretty convincing top-end quarterbacks regardless. And Richardson, obviously the Combine was a big reason of why he was drafted so high that, he was, chat. But I don't regret it, chat. There's still next year. Let's give it a chance. Curry back in the game. Okay, we're good to go. Those ice packs are really working their way. Quentin Post, chat, for 3. This Quentin Post guy has some minutes. He's, I think, a little streaky at this point. And I don't know if some of the defensive stuff is, I don't know if we'd call him like a stopper, a defensive player, but he spaces the floor and he does play with effort. So if you're Steve Kerr, if that's your 8th, 9th man, unfortunately he might be like your backup center. So you might have to use him more than maybe a typical 9th man or whatever. But so maybe he is actually like their 7th man. But still, for a backup center, he's serviceable, chat. He's proving himself, more than serviceable as well in some moments, especially when the threes are really raining in. But why am I not remembering the rookie quarterbacks from last year, chat? We had Jaden Daniels, yeah, Caleb Williams. Okay, we're back, chat. NBA brain, we're back in NFL brain. See, this is the splits in the season right now, but There was another one as well. Bo Nix, of course. Yeah, Bo Nix. Drake May. Okay, yeah. We're good, chat. First round, solid. But I'm trying to remember the combine portion of it as well, too. So I think Drake May threw at the combine. I don't believe Daniels threw at the combine. But wasn't he injured as well? Or something like that, chat? I don't know. So many stories, so many rumors, so much stuff going on. We're going to have to start taking notes going forward of what's actually happening. But not this year, because the top quarterbacks didn't actually end up throwing. And again, I've been thinking about like, you know, if I was a quarterback and I was kind of in Shedor's spot, or, you know, if you're Dion and Shedor's your son and you're giving him advice, or, you know, anybody in his circle giving him advice about whether or not he should do it, like, what would you tell him? And, you know, the competitive nature in you always wants to go like, yeah, you kind of want to go out and do the, like, it is being viewed a little bit, especially for the quarterbacks as well. I'm a position value across the board for certain guys. The combine is much more necessary, and you know, for certain even quarterbacks as well too. It's good for them to get out there and raise their status, maybe even more than it already was. But for those guys in the mix for top 10 first round top level quarterbacks, the combine is being viewed a little bit as extra credit, and I do get it because, again, like Shedeur not being at the combine, Cam Ward not being at the combine. I said Cam Robinson? I keep like thinking Cam Robinson in my mind. So if I said Cam Robinson instead of Cam Ward, it's Cam Ward. But for some reason, talking draft, I'm getting like old school draft names. Is this what happens when you become an old man? You just start thinking about names from in the past. That's what they say, chat. It's like, you know, you lose your short term, or what you lose your short term memory before your long term. So for some reason, you know, Cam Robinson, he's just in the long term memory. But maybe, you know, at some point as the years go on, of course, then eventually Cam Ward will be in the long term memory. So we'll probably then, you know, start getting people mixed, start saying Cam Ward when in like a decade from now. Because I think Cam Robinson was probably about a decade ago, chat. At this point, I want to say, for some reason, the Cam Robinson really stuck in our brains. Pause. Hey, whoa. Yikes. For some reason, we would just really remember him. After that pause, that's going to be crazy, chat. But, yeah, either way, I do think there is still value in doing the combine. And that, I guess the reason it could be viewed as extra credit is, I don't do I remember extra credit properly, chat? It can't like hurt your grade, you know, it's extra credit. So I feel like there's a part of it almost where the combine is viewed as where it could hurt your stock a little bit. But again, if you're Shedeur Sanders and you're Cam Ward, especially this year as well too, like you have to look at the greater landscape and go, okay, that's basically the one guy I'm competing against. Like Shedeur Sanders, you know, maybe his stock is a little bit more in flux than Cam Ward. Seems like the NFL evaluators are more, they're a little more comfortable with taking him with a top 5 pick than maybe they are with Shedeur. But of course, he's in that mix as the next quarterback off the board in the top range of the draft. And again, maybe it's the fact that nobody else is in the mix besides those two guys, but Shedeur's not going to fall to 20 because he has a bad I mean, I guess there is a version of a combine that is so disastrous that, yeah, then you're like, oh, well, I guess we just can't take this quarterback. Like, he's completely off our board. But then there's probably then that actually might be a good display of, you know, a disastrous moment. And then maybe it actually might be a good reason to go, oh, you know, maybe we actually need to look in a different direction. But most of the time, the guys, even a bad performance is not really going to affect Shedeur to the point where he's going to drop and, like, affect his salary. And, you know, like, if the conversations right now with him and Brady and Dion and all these places, and they're trying to get that to work, like, is a combine going to be the thing that separates him away from the Raiders? You know, if he just completely bombs at the combine or something like that, because that has to be the fear, right? The fear is playing really bad, not necessarily what happens if you perform well. Because then again, if you're Shedeur, you're already in that mix for the top. So if you're looking at it going right now, okay, I'm going to be the second pick in the draft. If I play well at the combine, okay, I'm already going to be the second pick in the draft, so it doesn't do me any good. But maybe it does just go back, I guess, to that competitive nature of it, where I kind of do like it when a guy is more into the success of it than he is like being scared of the failure. And, you know, I'd have to go look at like injuries and what's going on with all these guys. Like maybe, you know, Shedeur has a tweak in the shoulder or something and he's not 100%, you know, then it's like, okay, we need to pick our spots and be smart about our long-term health as well too, you know, more so than, especially again when we're solidified at a pretty good spot in this process. But like, I was thinking a lot about the Zach Wilson and Trey Lance combines because, of course, those are two of the quarterbacks that just unfortunately were not able to produce numbers for the spots that they were projected at, taken in the draft. But you go back to the combines, and those were two super impressive combines. And you looked at Zach Wilson's tape, and it could be a little bit of confirmation bias at the combine. Like, okay, a guy has a good moment in a bunch of guys, and then you just all of a sudden are like, did I say in a bunch of guys? That's crazy, chat. Pause. Hey, yo, in front of a bunch of guys. Having an impressive display of football talent. Maybe it just goes, it confirms what you're thinking. But then again, at that point, the GMs that saw Zach Wilson throw at the combine, Jets are probably going to take him number 3 overall based on that BYU tape anyways, because a lot of the stuff that he did at the combine, he did do at BYU. It's not like he wasn't projecting that stuff. There was just, I think, maybe other factors into it if you were going, okay, projecting this into the NFL. Of course, the scale of competition was also part of that. His physical, a little bit on the smaller side for a quarterback as well. I think maybe some of the read stuff and the progressions that he was doing at BYU, maybe you go, how does that project into the NFL? But then again, he was still kind of smart with some of that stuff. And he went to the combine, and it's like, yeah, it is maybe quote unquote real in some way. And then again, unfortunately, it's not able to translate over into the NFL. But going back into the moment, I was impressed that Zach Wilson was out there competing and having a good moment at the combine. It's like, okay, yeah, that's an impressive thing that for a guy that maybe wasn't as high on Zach Wilson at the time, it's like, yeah, that's a moment where I could be more okay with taking him than not. And ultimately, if you desperately need a quarterback, it's desperation, chat. You'll start talking yourself into lots of things. It's like anything, chat. You'll start looking at a quarterback that's a 6, and you're like, Zach Wilson, he's looking like a 10 all of a sudden. But if you desperately need a guy, and you start seeing what Zach Wilson's doing at the combine, it makes sense. And Trey Lance, I'm trying to remember the Trey Lance combine. I remember Zach Wilson had a couple of great throws at the combine. It's like, yeah, this guy's maybe got something with the fluidity. And even some of the NFL moments, you can check the tapes, chat. There's moments that he's had in the NFL where you're like, there is something there. It's just, unfortunately, 95% of it, there is just the reads and getting out of the pocket and all this stuff is disastrous. Not getting out of the pocket too is, disastrous for him. It's not good when you're a quarterback, when you're like, okay, if he's in the pocket, it's not good. But if he's out of the pocket, it's also not good. It's just, tough situation if you're Zach Wilson. But I guess I was impressed that he went out there and performed and clutched it up in front of those scouts and in front of the pro people and all that stuff. And I like that he was going for the success. And it just would have been fun to see, of course, these guys go for the success a little bit. And I don't want to say like it's like, totally like a off-putting type thing for these quarterbacks, but it would have been fun to see Shedeur throw at the combine. Because again, he is a little controversial is not the right word, but there is some split decisions in the evaluation process right now on what people think about his talent and what people have projecting him out. And I get it as well too. I think especially with the way that Caleb Williams struggled this year, and you see the way that it's not just that Caleb Williams struggled, it's that also there was other quarterbacks in the class that had, a different skill set in the processing and such. Jaden Daniels, like, this great processor, and the other thing was he also had the ability to extend plays and do all the extracurricular stuff that Jaden Daniels did, and he's also a better processor, and we just missed on that. And it's not that Caleb Williams is a little bit younger, he has time to grow, and he's going to continue to make strides in all that stuff. But I think there is I'd say there's, two, I guess it is, at the end of the day, I've talked myself into saying it's extra credit, chat. It is what it is. There's no way to say it's not, because at the end of the day, the evidence is what it is. If you don't play in the combine and you're a top 5 quarterback, you're probably still going to go in the top 5 anyways, but I like it. And I don't know if I'm trying to justify the Colts taking Anthony Richardson either, chat, but either way, I would have been more impressed if, and again, I'd have to go look, maybe there was a legit reason and I'm just totally missing it, but I'm just going to pretend, just old man moment, we're just going to pretend like there isn't. And even for Cam Ward as well, like Cam Ward's probably going to be the second pick in the draft. Like if Cleveland's sitting there at number 2, how are they going to pass up on Cam Ward? How are they going to pass up on a quarterback? But him throwing at the combine would have been impressive. And that is honestly the revelation I'm having, Chad, is that I'm just a selfish fan. It's really what it is. And, you always know that. And it's just, you have to remind yourself, I'm a selfish fan. It's just, I want to see Cam Ward at the combine. And I want to confirm for myself in that way that this is also another medium in which Cam Ward can be, I want to see the throws on the open field and just the 60-yard bomb, chat, the perfect spiral that almost scrapes the ceiling and drops it in. I like hearing the sound of the scouts when the throw is being made and everybody's kind of like, whoa, and then they make it. Everybody gives the round of applause. It's almost NPC like how it happens every time. I mean, these scouts are just programmed to just gawk over these spirals and the way the quarterbacks flip these hips on these throws. But it is great. It's like Wii Sports for the combine. Just all these me's on the sideline, just yay! Every time Cam Ward throws a 60-yard pass. Unfortunately, we didn't get that this year. We got, I think, Jackson Dart threw at the combine. Will Howard threw at the combine. See, Will Howard is a tough example of it as well, too, because Will Howard was playing so well to end the season. And then I was seeing stuff, some of the clips online and some of the highlights. It's like, oh, Will Howard had a really, really tough combine. But again, it's going to be Will Howard's not. Maybe he was a little bit like he could have maybe if he had an awesome combine, he could have gone into the first round. And that is the part of it that I think is the upside as well, too. And maybe it is, appropriately being played for these guys with the later rounds focusing on it. But, Will Howard's a great example where, yeah, maybe he's a 5th round pick now or something like that. But, the momentum that he was having, if he locks in that combine, he's maybe in the argument for going into the 30, late 20s, 30s, and then maybe it's like, becomes that argument of, oh, well, we could take him in the second, but then we get that 5th-year option, and if you have the quarterback position, maybe you want that 5th-year option with the quarterback position, and maybe maybe there's a conversation that is to be had, because again, that third quarterback is really kind of, unless, Jackson Dart just is really locking that down right now with the scouts, exiting the college season, that was a very, that was a spot that could be debated on who had that position right now, in the draft status. But, unfortunately, it's not the greatest performance, and he is not able to raise his stock in that way. But again, you're going to have all this amazing tape of him winning the national title, of him playing amazing in all these moments, and it's going to be like, okay, well, when the moment mattered, Will Howard was still clutch, and he got better as the season went along. And, yeah, Ohio State, we've seen the quarterbacks and the talent. But, again, we're arguing maybe him day 2, day 3. And, I said 5th. Maybe that's dramatic. He still could be mid-second to 3rd round pick in that range, just because, again, of the quarterback position. It becomes a thing where it's like, okay, maybe the first round quarterbacks aren't there, but do we get a little antsy on taking some of these guys in the 2nd round? Is Ewers back, chat? I don't remember if Ewers is back or not, but we're going to have to update. Do we just need to go to the combine thing right now? I can't believe we haven't even pulled it up yet, chat. We just need to stop rambling about being selfish and wanting Sanders to throw. Because I guess I want Sanders to kind of prove as well, too, that he is one of these guys. Because I believe, but I'm worried about how this tape process is going to play out for him. And not in a result, will he fall out of the top 10 kind of way, but in that confidence of how people are thinking about him. And Shedor's the type of, he'll play well in the NFL. He doesn't need the love of the people behind him to help boost his performance. But it is nice if a fan base is at least behind you, if the media is behind you. Again, if the media is not behind you, doesn't mean the fan base isn't, vice versa. But sometimes there is influence there, and sometimes the conversation anyways is being started or being reflected in the media. It could definitely be both. We've got Ewers in. Gabriel was in as well, too. That's right. Milroe, McCord. Gabriel could be an interesting guy with the whole Bo Nix thing. Bo Nix is pretty solid. McCord is also, as we kind of watch the tape, oh, poor old Will Howard. He's down here behind Tyler Schlaw, chat. That's kind of a pause. Oh, man, Will Howard. What's going to happen? Are we going to start defending the Ohio State quarterback in the draft process? I'm not going to allow myself to do it, chat. I'm going to check it. If the evaluators are out, then I'll agree with the evaluators. Will Howard, prove us wrong, chat. But then again, do we want to be part of the Will Howard motivational billboard, chat? Just on all of the what's the cork board thing that the detectives have. Like, just there's a clip of the Rem and Sam pod up there. We wouldn't want that. We don't want to be anywhere near anywhere Ohio State stuff, especially if it's motivating people to be good. But I guess we can't like look up the stats of the quarterbacks throwing. And again, we would watch, but YouTube, chill out with some of the copyright stuff. It's getting ridiculous. I don't like it. We just want to sit back and watch some combine highlights. We just want to watch these guys throw with no defenders around, with just nobody in sight. A little quarterback 3-cone drill. Who do we get? Will Howard couldn't even win the 3-cone drill. He's getting taken down by Brady Cook. Will Howard and Seth Hannigan. I like it. Did Will Howard do all the events, Chad? See, I mean, he's a competitive guy. He's out there trying. I don't know what's happening, Chad. This is not good. I hate to see myself going down this path. But we got a couple of sub 340s, it looked like. The fastest was, oh, that's for the quarterbacks. Brady Cook. 4.59's not bad. Maybe Brady Cook's rising up our boards as well. Maxwell Hairston. Any relation to Nate Hairston? I know the Colts, former Colts corner, Nate Hairston. Same position, same last name. There is a chance, chat. Pause. But a 4.28, shout out. I don't know if he is being projected out as first-round talent as of right now, but oh, it does look like he's got a good grade. Okay, Lance Zierlein. He loves our guy, Max Hairstein, apparently. 6.28. Oh, whoa. Oh, is this how we can go around it, chat? Is the NFL going to take us down if we watch the combine highlights on their own site? I mean, NFL, what are we doing? We're promoting your product here. I mean, nobody's watching the Nate Hairston, the Maxwell Hairston vertical leap. The Darian Porter broad jump. Whoa! Balance it out there, chat. There you go. Shout out Darian Porter as well. Looking like, was he number 2 on the list? Massive liability and run support. No, Hairston, no. We like a physical corner on the outside, chat. Pause. But you gotta, that Cooper DeJean. The white cornerback trend, chat. Is that what's gonna happen? Everybody's got to find their white corner. Okay, Darian Porter was number 3 for the 40 time. So the defensive backs this year, fast. In past, and we're going to need it because in the past, it's been the receiver classes, of course, that have been cooking everybody. So we're going to need these defensive backs to balance it out. 93 on the athleticism score, 65 on the production score is a little bit of a disparity. A Tariq Woolen comp, though, is not bad. I was going to say, it seemed like he was kind of tall. What is 6'3"? Yeah, 6'3", 195. Darian Porter, put him on the watch list, chat. Chris Ballard, you paying attention? Last year, Iowa State had TJ Tampa in the draft, and I did really like TJ Tampa as a prospect. So we'll see going forward if that bears out and if he's able to, start or do whatever. But, yeah, maybe Porter's next up. 6-year senior with elite traits and special teams, but 1 year, 6 years starting, but 1 year at corner in college, chat? Oh, that's a bit of a yikes. But at least you're getting a veteran. 6 years. Darian Porter. You love to see it. You got to make your own way, chat. You got to do what you got to do. Iowa State giving him a chance. Proving himself worthy of it. You love to see it. But, I mean, just look at it. Everybody is just sub 4.3 now. We've only got a handful of... Oh, Luther Burden. Where was he at, chat? I thought I saw his name on here. 4.41? I mean, that's like slow this year. That's slow now. But 4.41 for receiver. Burden. He's cooking. Bond with the 4.39. Okay, let's go to the receivers here and figure this out. The name's Bond. Isaiah Bond, chat. Matthew Golden with a 4.29. Dante Thornton with a 4.3. Chamari Dyke, chat. Pause. Yikes. Hey, yo. 4.34. Jalen Lane, 4.34. Arian Smith. Okay, did McMillan run at the combine? Jimmy Horn with the 4.46. Oh, Jimmy. Over 4.5 is tough. We like Jimmy Horn. I mean, it wasn't just, of course, the duo of Hunter and Shedeur that was really awesome. I mean, Horn had moments. Like, the offense as a whole was that the receiver skill group quarterback dynamic, was what was making Colorado a successful team in general. But 5'8", 174. I didn't realize he was 5'8", chat. Shout out. He plays bigger than his size. That's got to be in the scouting notes. Small but fearless, of course. You couldn't tell when he's out there. He's looking like he's Travis Hunter sometimes. Slender thing. Release slow by physical press versus Colorado State. I mean, wasn't Colorado State like mugging these guys? Colorado State's a mean team. They don't count, chat. Hampered by focus drops in 2023. Well, NIL, that'll do that to you. These guys are millionaires now. There's going to be a couple more focus drops than there was back in the day. So, Jimmy Horn, we could just start scratching these weaknesses off one by one. Needs tighter turns on in-breaking route. I mean, we can fix that in an offseason. I mean, I wouldn't put that on as a weakness. I'd put that on as like a work in progress. See, there needs to be like a strength weakness and then not a weakness, but fixable. Like a fixable and then not fixable weaknesses. Which ones do we think he could, like? Do we think Jimmy Horn can work on his in-breaking route? If we just give him a couple of notes, I think it might be able to get in the gym and work that one out. We'll need to prove he can thrive without college spacing. I mean, okay, that is fair to Jimmy Horn. That, yeah, I mean, to go the other way, he is playing, again, with Shedeur and Travis Hunter. It's a pretty good combo to be the third guy with out there, too. But he was Purdue. Did we do a little Jimmy Horn stat check? Was he a 1,000-yard receiver this year? And I feel like he had a couple of years as well. Has he been a 2-year guy there in terms of being like an actual contributor? Let's see. Is he James Horn? Jimmy Horn Jr. from South Florida. 441, chat. So he's a barely 1,000-yard receiver in both years that he was at Colorado. Not quite one touchdown this year. Jimmy Horn, he's off the list. Come on, Jimmy Horn. One touchdown? What are we doing? We definitely saw that one touchdown because I saw him score this year. It's the one game I watched. Jimmy Horn scored a touchdown. Let me look at this. Let me look at the game logs here real fast. I bet it was the most locked in I was for Colorado. Like week 3 when everybody's watching, he pops off. Oh, he had that big week versus North. Hey, Cincinnati, I think, may have been the game that we watched. 5 for 75. He didn't score that game. It would have been week 1. But I remember him being pretty good in one of these games later in the year. And then a good run last year as well. Look at the consistency last year. I mean, downer performances, but Xavier Worthy, chat. Then again, Xavier Worthy, of course, was 4.2 something at the combine, not the 4.46. So Jimmy Horn, just a slow day. I don't know, maybe a little Taco Bell before the combine or something. A little sluggish. But just get him rerunning on a clean diet on a salad, and then we'll see if we can get that number down a couple of ticks of a tenth of a second. Oh, and we got a Colorado State above our guy from Colorado, chat. The rivals. You hate to see it. You don't like that. Nebraska, Georgia, Dominic Lovett. Noel from Iowa State. I feel like he was kind of interesting, chat. They had Hutchinson a couple years ago who was big target. Been kind of decent for the Jets. He's had some moments. 91 on the athleticism score. We've got a talent here. We've got a specimen, chat. I just would want to hang out with the scouts just to just to chat it up like in scout lingo, chat. Just guys reading like 6'3", 175 receivers. Oh, yeah. Bruce Ellington? I mean, Bruce Ellington had a career, chat. Bruce Ellington was around, You could throw Bruce Ellington out there. 5'10", 194? 5'10" with the 91 athleticism score? I'm a strict 6 foot or taller, chat. I've got requirements for the receiver room. We got to look good, off the bus right away. Burden and Bond as well, too. I like that Bond was flying because I feel like I might end up with him maybe a little higher on a prospect list than he might end up. He might be like, I'd have to go through and actually lay out the receivers because I know Hunter's, of course, a little bit in a category of his own, but, McMillan, Burden. We didn't have Mbuka either, right? I didn't see his numbers, chat. We look back. And Buka, was he just really slow? I think that's what it was. Jalen Waddle for Bond? There we go. You love to see it. I mean, sometimes, I love how sometimes the comp is just way better than, it's eventually he'll be a plus starter, but Jalen Waddle is, like, was he a second team All-Pro one of those first couple of years? Like, he definitely could be. Like, Jalen Waddle is, and, you know, with some of the injuries, who knows going forward, but, you know, peak Jalen Waddle is all NFL talent type guy. So Bond, he may be a plus starter, but also he is reminding us of all NFL talent. I get it as well too. You know, it's play styles, and is he fast and have some similar movement route stuff that Waddle does, but maybe Waddle's a little more dynamic with the ball. You know, maybe a little more consistent hands. But Bond's a great talent, and you know, played at Alabama as well too, like Waddle. So you know, makes it a little bit of an easy comp, taking it from your, you know, your own school. Deontay Thornton from Tennessee. I mean, if you're running a 4.3 flat, I feel like we got to go through the profile and at least get 6'5", 205, chat. Now, this is what we're talking about. Pause, chat. Draft season is just going to be a little crazy on the Rem and Sam pod. It is what it is. Scouts, you just start, you know, you start saying things about these prospects that you only mean in like football senses is really what it is. He's a one of one, chat. No comp for Deontay Thornton. Lance Zierlein literally couldn't think of anybody. DK Metcalf apparently does not apply. Long linear target. Primary function is to take off tops of defenses. Plays through contact. Explosive vertically. Runs a 3-route tree with slight variations. Value can be snuffed out by deep safety looks. Long strides are gradual and rounded in. Long strides are gradual and rounded in-breaking routes. Lance Zierlein, just a little bit of picky on the in-breaking route. Is the in-breaking route like the post-up of the NFL? Nobody runs a good in-breaking route anymore, chat. Or maybe it's like the entry pass. You know, nobody throws a good entry pass. Nobody runs an in-breaking route the way they used to. Separation burst from route breaks is average. Lacks decisiveness and wiggle after the catch. See, average burst. Pause. Whoa. But, you know, average separation on a route break, but he's running a 4.3 is a little bit interesting. You know, why is that speed not translating on the field? And is it that build-up top-end speed? Hopefully we can get through this. 4 seconds while they take us down. Oh, chat, sometimes the clock, it feels like it just works differently for some guys. Pause. Whoa. 6'4" and 5'8". Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a roundup on the site, chat. I see. Perfect start. Powerful steps, chat. I mean, he's definitely a smooth runner for sure, and I could see maybe some of the initial steps, he's losing some of the speed. So, you know, again, maybe some technique stuff that he just needs to work out. I don't know if it's unfixable. Play strength and hand fighting, pull him past physical corners, able to sink hips and gather quickly for comebacks. So he can turn and go back to the quarterback, but he can't in-break. So this might be long strides or gradual and on this might be an effort thing, chat. This might be a good technique. He just needs to be a little crisper. Needs to just get that down a little bit more. That's not a. Again, maybe even some of the stiffness and he's got the fluidity to make the cuts and to do all this stuff. Talent to track and adjust to win contested deep throws. True speed to make house calls when catching on the move, but he lacks decisiveness and wiggle. But he's got the speed. So again, the straight line speed, but maybe some of the side to side stuff's a little bit weak. Works away from coverage and toward throws for the quarterback, but he's good at playing the ball. So at the end of the day, a big fast receiver that knows how to play the ball, chat. This sounds like a guy that, what were they? They have a range on him. No scout quotes? Lance Zierlein, he's slacking this year, chat. 72 on the next gen grade. Okay. You don't even need to watch players, chat. Lance Zierlein just does all the work for you. You just go, okay, I like that. I don't like that. That sounds good. Okay, maybe I'll watch this guy. This guy, like I said, watch list Deontay Thornton. 6'5", little slender, but still, top line speed like that, you've at least got to take a look. Should we go Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech? We don't want to say this Florida named receiver anymore, so we're just gonna move on, chat. And the Colts don't even really need a receiver. It's just receivers are always so much fun to look at the draft. And it's one of the more, it's a good translatable combine, I think, to on the field stuff. And, a lot of people would say that maybe, literally the greatest receiver of all time probably didn't have the best combine ever. So it's, maybe the greatest exception of the rule ever. But, like speed, the quickness, the acceleration, the jumping, the measurables, some of that stuff feels a little bit more translatable for some positions. Pause. And another one that I know we had mentioned before that we really wanted to take a look at, so we'll just go ahead and take care of that now. But I remember, of course, seeing Jared Verse being really high on the bench press and being like, oh yeah, that's super cool, but Latu is still the guy. And then you watch Verse this year for the Rams, and just the power that he had to be able to drive the offensive lineman back into the quarterback was, maybe the best part of his game, Chad. So we've got Ethan Downs from Oklahoma as the best edge rusher anyways for the bench press. I want to say, I guess we could go back and look. I want to say Verse maybe led the class, but maybe he was just really high up there. But 6'4", 269, and what is he putting up, 225, chat? Putting it up 32 times. Wide body tends to envelope him at the point of attack. Smaller wingspans create issues shedding run block. Uh-oh. You get in trouble with the smaller wingspan criticism because we know that Aaron Donald maybe didn't have the best arm. Mason Graham, there we go. That's a man, chat. Yeah. Push. Oh, we didn't get to see it all the way through. Mike Green. Okay, Mike Green with 28. Mason Graham was just light day, He's not trying to tear a pec or anything. Mason Graham, I think, has the best one. But see that? This is why the combine does matter a little bit, chat. Because, again, Mason Graham's not going to... I think him and Ethan Downs are going to be having a little bit different paychecks after... Ethan Downs, the rest of the grade here, maybe not the best. Is this a baseball player or a football player? He might have been at the wrong combine. Oklahoma as well, too. There's definitely... This is a two-sport kid if I ever saw one. He's definitely getting drafted one way or another. If it's... it's either baseball, football, or the military. This kid will be in a draft at some point. I think it looks like he'd sign up willingly as well. But either way, Chad, maybe a lot of the NFL guys would. But with the Aaron Donald thing, that's maybe one that you go, okay, we got to watch the tape and see how is he, what's the technique, what's, again, the power. Okay, maybe the wingspan's not there, but if his short little arms are just driving these offensive linemen straight back, then it doesn't really matter. If Joe Burrow has small little hands, can still accurately throw the football, then it kind of doesn't matter. But lacks explosiveness to threaten the edge. NFL tackles will be able to sit on his inside rush counters. Quick setting tackles will take the life out of his rush, chat. So maybe he's a little too bulky. Maybe he was focused a little too much on the bench press. Needs to just some mobility, some speed training. Ethan Downs. You can see the traps. I think he's doing shrugs and stuff in the gym. Not to say that maybe some bodybuilding exercises wouldn't give you some strength on the field strength, but and maybe a trainer would be like, no, shrugs are actually like a top 5 football exercises. But are they, chat? Let us know. Is any trainer out there putting shrugs into the football programming to try to get those traps fired up? Let's get some hypertrophy in the upper back there. But who else do we have cooking? We had a tight end up here as well. So, if we got a menacing run blocking, pass blocking tight end here, just putting up 30 reps on the bench press, that could be pretty exciting. Luke Kandra from Cincinnati, got to give him love. CJ Dupree from Alabama. I don't remember seeing a lot of CJ Dupree, so maybe that means it was a lot of blocking for our guy. Oh, 74 on the grade, but looking like a special teamer is what our guy's saying. Combination tight end who can help here as both a blocker and pass catcher. Dupree's a big target underneath and can win contested catches. His play appears to be average as he struggles to avoid contact when getting through his routes. Dupree was used as a connected blocker and moving lead blocker at Alabama. He has decided to take on pro run blocking challenges, but aggression and finish is lacking. Pause. Dupree won't stand out in either phase. That's just an aggressive thing to say in the scouting comment. It's not that I don't agree sometimes with the sentiments that the scouts are putting out there, but sometimes just the way that they phrase it is like Dupree won't stand out. It's like, well, we don't know that. I mean, he hasn't played yet in the NFL. Maybe he's a little blendy-in-ish in Alabama, but apparently this guy won't stand out in either phase, but he's adequate in both and has traits that give him a chance to make a team. So he has a chance, chat. According to the scouts, he has a chance. Contact magnet at release and inside route. But, you know, a good blocking tight end. To be honest, I mean, I feel like that's almost, I don't want to say undervalued now because, you know, teams do with some of the run game stuff. And like we say, some of these winning teams, and not even with the running backs, with the running quarterbacks and just needing to get in some of these heavier sets, they do have good pass blocking tight ends. But it feels like sometimes, at least as fans anyways, when we think of like a utility tight end, it's almost more a tight end that is a receiver versus, I mean, this case, like a tight end that is a tackle. But in some ways, that's almost what you might need more out of a tight end sometimes. Then, if you can get a receiver that is an amazing blocker, I mean, that's A++ type trait. But I'm saying sometimes if you're going to take a utility tight end, it's also okay to take one that is utility in the pass blocking way as well too. I'm not against a good old school pass blocking tight end, chat. We need him in the game. Don't go away. Don't go away quite yet. Of course, the offensive linemen are going to dominate. We've got Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo, shout out. And then Mike Green as well, so 28. And I think Verse might have been 29 last year. So Ethan Downs at 32 is, you know, really breathing out in those last couple of reps, Chad. I don't know. When you look at the back arch, maybe he was a little, and again, short arms, I think, for Ethan Downs. Maybe, you know, the little half reps. I don't know if he was getting some generous count there. But Mike Green from Marshall. Alex Highsmith. I mean, Alex Highsmith is a Pro Bowler. Amazing defensive end. You'd love to have an Alex Highsmith on your team. On a rookie contract? Unbelievable. High energy pass rusher, with productivity and method of play that should translate to next level. Green displays natural and instinctive rush, utilizing loose hips in a series of moves and counters that can open doors with force or finesse. Force or finesse, chat. Force or finesse. He's LL Cool J or Bruno Mars. He's got both songs in his category. In his discography. You love to see that from an edge rusher. You got to have all the music in your playlist. He's very physical with notes of violence in the way he attacks blockers in both phases. His explosiveness allows him to penetrate gaps. He plays around or through protection edges and change direction quickly to finish in backfield. He's relentlessly pressed forward, but can run out of gas due to his hot running motor. So he runs out of stamina. This guy just holds down, just mashes down on the sprint button the whole time he plays. And unfortunately, he has to go to the bench a little bit too early. But teams might wish he were heavier and longer, but he's willful and skilled and powerful. Way to create enormous matchup concerns as an edge rusher on the next level. This guy sounds like a win, chat. Watch list Mike Green right away. This guy sounds incredible. Lance Zerline with just a stellar write-up and really selling us on Mike Green. Really, the elevator pitch on Mike Green. Very, very solid, chat. Is he too small, whatever? I get it. There are times when that is a concern. It's like the quarterback thing. There are times when, I mean, we've seen, as much as Bryce Young did improve at the end of last year, Bryce Young has had moments where he's jumping up over the top of his offensive lineman to see the pass and try to get stuff up. Like, there are times when the smaller edge, as talented as he is, gets swallowed up by really good tackles. So would Mike Green be in a game against Trent Williams, and Trent Williams might take up Mike Green in a pass block? Well, you know what? Trent Williams probably going to, or going forward, top at tackle in the league, like that guy is going to probably take down any edge rusher outside of, Aiden Hutchinson. And then at that point, it's, that's why Aiden Hutchinson's the best in the league. But shout out Mike Green, man. I don't know why this doesn't have he used to have like little round projections on here. He'd be like, Mike Green's going to be like a second or a third rounder. And he used to have the write-ups from a scout. He'd have like an AFC scout on here with just the Vegas quote being like, Mike Green plays with relentless energy and is a guy we have our eyes on. AFC West scout. It's like, oh, very insightful. But hey, it's like, oh, somebody in the AFC West eyeing Mike Green, maybe that's a Broncos pick. We know that they're good at eyeing down their defensive lineman, chat. Do we need to go to Tankathon real quick? Let's cross-reference at Tankathon. Mike Green moving up the draft boards. Mike Green is slowly becoming the winner of the day, chat. And who's the other guy? Deontay Thompson? I mean, this is literally the work that NFL GMs do. They probably don't even watch the game, don't even watch the YouTube stuff. When we go in and watch the YouTube stuff, then we'll probably be more informed than some of these scouts. Lance Zierlein, he doesn't even realize it. He's probably just dictating the entire NFL with his write-ups of these guys. And then the two teams that like think for themselves, and again, not to say that means that Lance Zierlein doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just saying that the two teams that might vary away and like actually make their own, like the Brent Veach probably would be one of the few guys that may make his own call at the end of the day, versus, you know, the guy in the Giants is asking his kid about what moves to make. He might just be panicking and going, what does Lance Zierlein think? And let's just take Lance Zierlein. That's like why he can't be hired, because all these teams like, no, we need him doing the right. He's like the database for the NFL. Shout out. Lance Zierlein, biggest winner of the draft. Who knew? But who are we looking for? Yeah, Mike Green. Oh, James Pierce, I guess, probably didn't see him. I assumed he would have probably been up a little bit on the bench press number maybe. Or seen his name in the mix in some of these. Because he was one of the guys that was first edge off the board in the early part of the draft process. But yeah, I don't see his name on here, so probably, well, at least he didn't do that category anyways, if he did compete at all. But not seeing him in the second round, chat. JTT, our guy JTT, out of, again, disgusting Ohio State, but good player. Good football player, chat. Ooh, Watts. We need to get a little Xavier Watts combine reaction as well. Where is Mike Green? Oh, whoa, shout out to Tankathon. Cam Scatterbo to the Colts at 80. We'll take it. Just to back up Jonathan Taylor. We just signed Jonathan Taylor to extension, if I remember correctly. So, you know, or at least gave him some kind of money. So he's good there. Scatterbo over Dylan Sampson. Ooh. Good move. Interesting move. Two types of running backs there, Chad. But Scatterbo's a baller as well, too. Isaiah Bond to 90. Dropping way down. Chris Paul Jr. at linebacker. Point guard of the defense. I'm sure somebody will say that at the draft. Oh, Scatterbo over Ollie Gordon. Still not totally out on Ollie Gordon either. But Scatterbo, I mean, what he was doing in the playoffs, I mean, can't underrate that. Is Mike Green not in the top 100? Did I not see Mike Green, chat? So Mike Green, you're telling me Mike Green's going to be a day 3 steal in the draft? Can lock it in right here, chat. Can lock it in. We're not seeing it. They've got a couple of guys from next year. Ruben Bain. So let's give Mike Green some love. He's at least up next for this year. Josiah Stewart as well. Shout out. He's going to be a steal. He's going to play hard. Oh, Mike Green. Never mind. Mike Green way up on the draft boards. My bad. People are already caught up to the Mike Green hype. Mike Green is right where he should be. Are the Colts going to pass on Mike Green? Or is he going to go before? 22 to the Chargers right now. So the Colts would pass on Mike Green. For Tyler Warren, we're passing up Stewart, Pierce, and Mike Green? And I know Shamar Stewart is a guy that, of course, I mean, he's like second or third name here. But he has really risen up. People really love what they're seeing from Stewart. So he'll be an exciting guy to go through and see the draft stuff. Can we get... Maybe it'll show from last year. Can we get like a history? Oh, here we go, chat. So last year, who had 49 on the bench press? Last year, Verse had 31. So he was right up there with Downs. Downs, he only got that extra rep again because of his short arms. Oh, Pazemski for 3. What's that, 61-62? This is a fist fight, chat. A slugfest. These teams are going back and forth, but does that mean the Warriors are on... Who does that... This is our first take segment of the day. Who does that mean more is on whose level? Somebody write that on the TV prompter. Who does this mean more that is on whose level? Are the Warriors on the Knicks level or are the Knicks on the Warriors level? Which one is it, chat? Curry for 3. Burn! Mike Breen, it's TNT, so somebody's got to do it. 7 minutes with the third quarter. We just used that one too early. Probably got to save that. You talking to Spike Lee? What's going on? What just happened? Somebody spilled a drink on Curry. He was wiping something off his leg. Hey, yo. But, yeah, I mean, that's some stellar numbers. And you see, now you can see why it even stood out that he was not just, again, at such an incredible number overall, but there was only one defensive lineman above him, defensive tackle, Jordan Jefferson. So he was over Tyler Davis, DJ Glaze, shout out, offensive lineman, Chris Jenkins, 29, Rook, Orahoro, 29 as well. So he was just the strongest defensive lineman, just like in general of the whole class. And Jordan Jefferson as well too, you know. Got a lot of Jordan Jefferson stock hidden away somewhere. I think he could be a nice little player at some point for sure. Do we have... Yeah, we have Phillips down at 29 for the tackles. Weak tackle class. So we need to get these tackle class in the gym. Mason Graham at 24. I mean, I'm not going to lie, chat. It's a little disappointing. Mason Graham, top 5 pick. He's going to, lock. Do we just say lock in the Mason Graham Hall of Fame career now? Probably shouldn't start putting that on him quite yet. 93 on the production score. I mean, there's no way this guy's not going to be good, chat. But just from a competitive standpoint, from a do Michigan proud at the combine standpoint, you got to start putting in the work there. And Kenneth Grant at 22 at will, too. I mean, that was the strength of our defense, chat. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll take the Ohio State win over 30 reps on a bench press. That's for sure. Kenneth Grant as well. Where was his name in this list? I'm not just being biased with saying the Michigan guys are going to be steals. Like, I don't know if it's the Michigan team that is dragging their... Because, again, like Graham and Johnson are being evaluated pretty appropriately. But with... okay, Grant at 24. Good. Okay. But Stewart at 74. Maybe he's a little, kind of one-dimensional edge rusher type guy. I get it. But, I don't know. He gives me some Josh Sweat vibes a little bit. I don't know if the measurables are all the same. But... I could see him being utilized in, kind of a similar role. But shout out. So wait, they had Mike Green as and I guess we had it mixed with edges and tackles. But Carter, Michael Williams, Jalen Walker, Shamar Stewart. Not Shamar Moore. Is Shamar Moore up for the draft this year, chat? Somebody see if he entered his name in. But Shamar Stewart. And then Mike Green. Then James Pierce. And Walter Nolan is going to be a guy as well. I mean, that was a former number 1 overall high school player. So, in some ways, is he back as like the consensus top guy still? No, but is Walter Nolan still being viewed as one of the higher prospects? Yes, like, okay, he's still in the mix for where he's at. Is it continue? Is like Avery Bradley? It's like, oh man, number 1 pick, now also with like 11th pick in the draft. Now we're not even making all-star games, but, hopefully Walter Nolan does a little bit better than that. Scorton as well too. I know both the Texas A&M tackles, and the thing is, you get like a stacked defensive line. All these guys are gonna make the team look better. Of course, the Georgia guys as well. But then, I mean, you see what happens. It turns out that a lot of times it means that they're actually just really good. Georgia guys just won the NFL Super Bowl this year. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, all those guys were, amongst the most important parts of the Eagles defense. But maybe Mike Green's going to move up into top 10 type range, chat. He's definitely on our Colts watch list for the first round at this point. If he's a consensus top 20 guy, top 22 in the mock, but I get top 25 guy, then he's another one we're going to have to keep our eye on. We said we'll see if we can find a little Xavier Watts check-in. We got a support, chat. Oh, no Xavier Watts, at least on the bench press. Was he at the combine? 40. Oh, it doesn't look like it. Starks with the 4.5. I kind of like Starks as well, too. The Georgia defensive backs, they never got the same draft love as the defensive line. I mean, the front seven was the strength of the team, but it was still never like... And it's tough because, how much work does Kelly Ringo have to really do if Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith are all rushing the quarterback? They're probably going to get a sack and get a stop before Ringo has to really worry about the receiver breaking loose. But it always did feel like the defensive backs and the safeties and stuff always held up in a really, really great kind of way. And just the whole secondary always felt like it was really, really solid. I know they had to like Reed, the safety back there for a while. LeCount, I think, has he really done much in the NFL? You don't really hear his name, but just, a talented defense. You got to give all the guys, similar amounts. You just hate to say that like one guy is, way worse just because the talent around him is better, I guess is what I'm saying. If you evaluate him properly and make your ranking, that's one thing. But if you go, oh, the talent around him was so much better, I just can't see him being good. It matters for quarterbacks as well with some of the receivers and evaluating stuff. But I would give him more the benefit of the doubt than less, is, what I'm hoping. But Mabuka is a guy, chat, for us. Where's Mabuka at right now on Tankathon? Tankathon and Lance Zerline run the day. 81. Okay, so Mike Davis, what's that guy? Mike Green in the first round. I don't know. We don't really have our second round. I guess Xavier Watts in the second, then Mabuka in the third. Really stack up on that secondary. Ballard does do that. Ballard will heavily draft one spot on the field for a draft and really just go. I mean, A, will either get a really good player or maybe we'll just have a lot of depth and be able to, make that position work for a while. Pause. And it's not like the defensive line has been, a great defensive line, but they've still had guys, still have depth. It's still probably been the better unit. DeForest Buckner is probably the biggest reason for that. It's just his ability to just elevate everybody around him as well, too. It's like, okay, at some point, you're putting average starters around him. They're going to look good next to DeForest Buckner. But if he did that a little bit with the secondary this year, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. But 4-year starter who plays the game with instincts and awareness of a player who's seen a lot of football. Mabuka has athleticism to play in the slot, but his best is when he's able to read the field as a robber and uses instincts. Yeah. That's what we like. Uses instincts, burst, and ball skills to make plays. Pause. He moves efficiently in coverage, but efficiency can get away from him in run support, where he races in too hot and misses tackles. Mabuka possesses character and physicality and playmaking instincts that will draw him as a future starter. So, yeah, you see they're saying he struggles in run support, but it's just, again, a lot of times because he's too aggressive. So there is a physicality to his game that you would almost, of course, you'd rather have him be a little overly aggressive as a safety than just being like he's giving up in run support because he doesn't want to take contact and he's just kind of falling at the feet of the runner and not really making a big effort to wrap up. It's like, no, he's, you get him to, maybe the wrap up thing is probably a little bit of a struggle. Does it say? Yeah, it doesn't really even mention tackling as a weakness for him. So, it just says like his efficiency can get away from him. But he is a really good middle of the field, reads everything, just really smart guy. So hopefully that wasn't just him being awesome at the college level, the way some of those Georgia safeties, like we were just saying, were. But undersized, disappointing, 5'11", 186. How tall do you need your safeties to be, chat? He's not guarding the receivers one-on-one. Pause. See the field, go in, make a play. Disappointing wingspan, 30-inch arms. Okay. Loses feel for a route when working from trail position. So he does. That's, I guess, the emphasis of keeping things in front of him then is when you flip the field on him, apparently his awareness goes down a little bit. Average speed and deep phase range over the top is a high safety. Oh, so the Colts may look at this guy. Average speed at the safety position? That sounds like Ballard's type. Sounds like a guy Ballard could be into. Again, the 4.46 is not stellar. Was that? Okay, he got it down to a 4.45, but still, average speed now. I guess it is all relative to the day, so we can only compare him against who he's playing against. If he's slow against the guys he's playing against, then he's slow, but still, 4.45 is not, wouldn't say slow. Or, wouldn't say average speed. I expect that more maybe in like the 4.5. I'm trying to think because like Kari Willis, the Colts took Kari Willis a couple years ago at safety, and he was like a 4.5 something. And he was a guy that's like, oh, that is, average speed. You can kind of see it on the field at sometimes when, again, the field gets flipped and he's playing from the trail position like that. But needs better body control and discipline as a downhill run supporter. Yeah, makes sense. Short arms create limited room for error as an open field tackler. So apparently he just has problems wrapping up because he can't get his little T-Rex arms in there to make a tackle, Chad. He's just trying to wrap these guys up, and he can't quite get a grip on them. It's just what it is. But with the physicality there to make up for it, I think that could really help. Warriors in front now, 74-71. Back on top, 18-9 run. Was that Draymond in with the basket to Curry or Curry to Draymond? It was a two-man combo either way, Chad. I just didn't see which one it was. Great job by us keeping up on the game. But Mabuka, okay. Love to see Mabuka performing well. Any other guys that from the college season here we can look at quickly and see? That kind of, because again, like a guy like Mike Green, there's going to be guys from this combine as well that, you know, we just weren't watching the Marshall tape during the season. Was there a Marshall Colorado game in here? I think there might have been. Did we just miss that one? No. Colorado State, green uniforms, maybe we were just thinking of that. But Watts, Mabuka, a couple safeties for the corner position. Of course, Will Johnson, but he's hurt. Okay, here's Hairstein, the guy with the number 140 in the draft. And he's in Benjamin Morrison range now? I mean, I guess Benjamin Morrison is more in Hairstein range. Benjamin Morrison was a first-round guy. But now Tankathon has him down to 38. And is that just injuries? Because that would be, I guess, why he probably didn't perform at the combine either. Darian Porter at 69. Another Kobe Bryant? Another Kobe Bryant. And not only just, I'm saying the name Kobe Bryant, but another cornerback named Kobe Bryant. And spell with a C? It's like the same exact person, chat. Where did Kobe Bryant was Cincinnati because that was a low-key fun looking back. Oh, Curry. The range. There it is, chat. Sniper in the building. Is that Bradley Cooper or is that Steph Curry? What's going on? But I forget what were we saying? Oh, Kobe Bryant. That was a fun defensive back combination in Cincinnati. Curry again. Oh, blocked that time. Was that Achua? Achua's going to take it himself the other way. He's playmaking, chat, to Hart on the other end. Hart blocked him, but Achua gets it back. The rebound. Oh, it goes in. The precious Achua takeover. Wow, off the bench. But maybe this is a strong corner class. I mean, out of the top 140, you got quite a few names. I guess even top 70 guys, quite a few of them are corners. But we need to look up Benjamin Morrison in your chat real quick. Let's get the early rundown. Make no mistake, you can book it in. At some point, we're going to do a full Benjamin Morrison episode. Just watch some Benjamin. We're going to find a way to watch some Benjamin Morrison tape without getting copyrighted. And just go through and say, hey, this guy's awesome. We gotta spew out our Benjamin Morrison propaganda at some point, chat. It's just what it is. No, the Catholic Church is not paying us to talk about Benjamin Morrison, chat. We're just really fans of what we saw in a couple of those games. Really good matchup against Marvin Harrison Jr. a couple of years ago. You'd love to see it. Oh, we're still at the time. Where is the... Oh, is it not going to have his name in here at all? Even if he didn't actually compete. If he was invited, he should be on the list. A 6'2", 6.2 draft grade. Lance, call into the show, Lance, and explain yourself. Why did you grade Benjamin Morrison at a 6.2? That's crazy. Let's see here. Linear outside corner whose eye-catching ball production must be balanced out by his inconsistencies in coverage. Who cares about those? Morrison would appear to be a natural press corner, but he lacks ideal footwork to mirror and match not only the release, but initial route position. He has below average covered fluidity in open spaces and appears to be more effective in covering the deep ball than overshadowing routes at the first two level. You know what? That is actually, I think, fair. That is fair. But Morrison is patient from off coverages and takes efficient passes to the throw. So a more zone-oriented scheme could make sense while helping minimize areas of concern. Okay, let me get a quick measure. 6'193. Okay, you know what? The way that he verbalized that, because sometimes it is too like how you look at a player as well. Like pause. Like sometimes I just see just the ball production and some of the good stuff, and the inconsistencies to me are lesser weaknesses than the strengths that he has. But then you go, oh no, the ball production's maybe more specific moments where the inconsistency and coverage are more like the play-to-play stuff that actually ends up mattering. But this does sound a little Josh Jackson-y from Iowa. I don't know if you guys remember that corner, but he had a game where he had a game against Ohio State as well too, where, you know, games against Ohio State receivers are going to make corners look really good. But he was awesome corner that entire year. He might have been an All-American that year. Actually, we can go up and look. But he had 3 interceptions in the Ohio State game against, I want to say, J.T. Barrett. And he had 2 of them for pick sixes. So it was like, not only does this guy have great ball production, but he may also be... Is that not his name, chat? Is it not Josh Jackson? Who am I thinking of? Oh, man, this is not good. Now we have to go to, like, 2018 Iowa and try to figure out who this guy was just for the sake of this comp. But another guy that had the same type of thing, big outside corner, could keep up with some of the stuff down the field especially, and, you know, again, some of that zone stuff, you keep stuff in front of him, then, you know, kind of Chiefsy, where it's that bend don't break defense, you know, he can kind of play well in that as well too. But if you actually have to guard a guy like one-on-one, because he ended up going to the Packers and not really working out that well there. Let's see. Hooker. Yeah, Hooker was good in the NFL. Ojemudia. Geno Stone. Epinesa. Okay. Here's the defensive lineman. Maybe it was 17. It was these teen years. Somewhere in here. Oh, Joshua Jackson. I guess I don't know why I didn't see his name on the list as of playing for Iowa. But, yeah, All-American in 2017. 8 interceptions, 168 return yards, and 2 picks. Yeah, both of those would have been in that Ohio State game. In that game, I guess, just locked him in as an All-American. But even still, that's 5 picks in all of the other games. So you take that game out, and he has 5 picks over the course of the season. Still a really productive defensive back season. And 3 against Minnesota as well. Or 2 against Wisconsin, 3 against Ohio State. And then 1 later in this bowl game against Boston College. But he ended up being, second rounder, 45th overall in the second round. So, or 45th overall. So, kind of in that Benjamin Morrison range. They had Benjamin Morrison at 38 on Tankathon. But lacks ideal arm length to play, strength and press corner. Struggles consistently to mirror. What's going on in the food these days, chat? Why does this generation of kids have a short wingspan? That's not good. Below average hips and feet to retract routes from trailing position. Carries a slight stall before triggering to match route breaks. Accessible throwing windows frequently open around him. That's not good. You're just like, hey, there always just seems to be open field wherever he's at. Below average tackle, allowing too many additional. He is a little bit of a weak tackler. But again, outstanding ball production and squeezes deep routes. Inquisitive but patient in reading from off-man coverage. So that's that Josh Jackson thing where that's exactly how we got those picks as well, too, in that Ohio State game. It was up the sideline, just breaking on the route, get the pick at full steam, and just running straight into the end zone. I know that one of them, I can almost picture just that play. But if I think I'm picturing that play right. I've got a play of Josh Jackson running in my head down the sideline. So it's either a memory or something that I've twisted into a memory, but it's there. The play is the play that happens when I think about him. But in draft times when, we need to comp him to people like this. But guess what, chat? The same way that I'm in on Benjamin Morrison, I was in on Josh Jackson. I thought Josh Jackson was going to be a good pro. So let's run it back with Benjamin Morrison. We don't learn from our mistakes. And I think that's probably where NFL people get in, and any sort of people get in trouble is they just... what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, chat? It's the guy that's like, I'm going to take the Josh Jackson's type cornerback with the same strengths and weaknesses until it works. So the problem is I'm not going to deviate. You got to trust your gut at the end of the day. And my gut's telling me that Benjamin Morrison might be a good little pro football player, chat. So we can't, unfortunately, the Colts can't take 2 Notre Dame defensive back. We can't take Watts and Morrison. But we could take Mike Green. We could take Benjamin Morrison in the second, and then we could take Mbuka in the third. We're going to remake the whole defense, chat. It's going to be good. Again, with some of the receiver stuff, the offense is not in a bad shape. We could definitely, like, everybody could use more offensive linemen, sure. But at the offensive linemen at this point, it's like, yeah, everybody needs them. So maybe they're just not unavailable, but it's just understood that those guys are going to be as high on the list as possible. Of course, the top guys, we're not going to be quite in the mix for it, but whoever might be in like a second round type range. So we got Connerly at 32. That's still, I guess, first round. Donovan Jackson, 36 to start the second. Erante Erse from Minnesota, 45. Marcus Mabau, 54. Jonah Savinia from Arizona. Cameron Williams from Texas. And Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I think Tate Ratledge is... What is his name popular for, chat? What did he do? Was he canceled or was he viral? I forget which one. One or the other. There's a reason that a name goes out there on TikTok. But for some reason, I remember seeing Tate Ratledge's name in like a off-the-field type capacity. But I don't remember exactly what. So maybe he's a guy that we need to keep an eye on. Second or third round defensive tackle prospect. Where's Tate Ratledge at? Not a great grade, apparently. Are these all the offensive linemen? Yeah. Where's the guy Tate? Here we go. 6'2", Our guy Tate. We're talking about Ratledge. Not Andrew. He's back in America. Let's see. Short arms, probably. Because everybody in this class has short arms. Below average pad level. Struggles to react to slants and stunts in time. Starts brawling and hand placement gets away from him. Below average length. There we go. Pause. Too much forward lean. Protection is valuable in slap swim moves. Protection is vulnerable in slap swim moves. Good firmness into contact on double teams. Whoa. That's the craziest one yet, chat. Good firmness is nuts. Runs feet and close is distance as drive blocker. Big hands, strong core, helps sustain the block. Uses play style, hand-to-hand, collects seals, edges, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sounds like he knows what he's doing. Shout out. I guess, like we said, the draft is in a month or so we'll be, I'm sure, seeing more of these faces as time goes on. I'm sure there'll be a couple of highlights of a player or two that'll be on the feed here at some point. But, yeah, we've got the fourth quarter here of Knicks Warriors about to get underway. So let's take a quick break and then lock in for this fourth quarter. And there's still a couple of NFL things and some NBA things that have happened as well, too. So stay tuned, chat. We're just getting started. A little bit. Okay, chat, we're back. It is just now 87-86. Draymond Green hit his first free throw at 9:59 left on the Sling TV stream. If you guys want to, just so you know at what time we're at, because I think the ESPN is, when it gets caught up here, it'll be a little bit ahead of usually where we're at live. But keep it on the NFL theme anyways. We got a little bit of news outside of the combine. Some trades. The NFL offseason, I guess, has officially started. I don't know what the first official move of the offseason was. Was there like a release maybe? Or some franchise tag move? Or I don't know technically. We need to go through this Schefter timeline and figure out what the first official offseason move tweet would be for the NFL this year. But seems like the first big move, the first major name to have a change of fate, I guess. Not that would be, I guess, the only outcome of an offseason, because you could re-sign, you could confirm a fate, in a way, run back a fate. But our guy Deebo Samuel is now in the Washington Commanders. It's been updated on the page. The team photo yet not updated. But this, I was thinking about this too, like right before I hopped on. I was like, this might be maybe the most favorite player that we've had in the NFL get traded. I can't even think of because NFL trades, of course, are maybe a little bit more rare than NBA trades. Even for the NBA, like, who would be our most favorite player that ever got traded? Maybe Anthony Davis, it would seem like, if you go back and look at the clips. But Deebo, of course, first team all Rem and Sam for guys that we root for, guys whose careers, guys whose just style of play that we really like. And I guess style of play, like Deebo Samuel, speaking of one of ones, is kind of a one of one. And I know that the way that they use Deebo Samuel is not really a one of one anymore. That's kind of the gadget receiver is almost a type of receiver that you need in the offense now. It's almost like the dunker spot in basketball, where is Aaron Gordon a necessary type of player to have on the court? No, but yes, if it is Aaron Gordon in the right situation, he can be a super valuable guy and be added into the team. Like, do you need a gadget guy? No, but if you have a gadget guy and you're super effective at using him, and Deebo Samuel, gadget guy is not the right way to use, but the multi-level skill set that you have with Deebo Samuel, like if you're able to unlock that and he's able to be as dynamic as he is, then you have a really special combination going there. And for Deebo, if you now are starting to look at what the career is, and one Pro Bowl is crazy as well too. I mean, that speaks to kind of the health factor mostly. But 1,100 total yards and 12 touchdowns. We can't get a Pro Bowl appearance in 2013. He's got to be almost turning these Pro Bowl appearances down at this point. The league has something against Deebo Samuel that they're not calling him for the Pro Bowl. It seems like they've called lesser people in the past. No disrespect, but Deebo Samuel is still one of the best at his position. And I know maybe it's a little bit different. He's going to be 29 this year. Some of the injuries are maybe starting to take a little bit of toll with the production, and who knows what you're able to utilize him in. And Deebo as well, too, he's an interesting guy to think, what could he be like out of the system? I know we think a lot of that with the quarterbacks. What do quarterbacks look like outside of a different coach? But Shanahan is such a special mind with the offense. He's able to just elevate all these guys with the play calling in a special way and just get their talents and get production out of them that maybe they're just not able to get out of a different spot. And again, if we're speaking of unlocking a guy like Deebo Samuel, Kyle Shanahan is literally the number. Probably, if you're just like, what offense would you want to put Deebo Samuel into? It probably would be schematically the 49ers offense, with how good they are with scheming up the run and some of that stuff, and how they're able to set up the play action pass as well too off of that. And Deebo Samuel's open field athleticism. You talk about bending routes, chat. Like, bending routes, some of the play action stuff. Like, it feels like that's where Deebo Samuel can kind of thrive, and then separating away from a defender. But at the end of the day, you're giving up a 5th round pick for Deebo Samuel. It seems like a win to me, chat. We need to go back and look at the Hopkins trade here, because I think Hopkins might have been, not Brad Hopkins. I thought I could stop myself from clicking it, and apparently I couldn't. Shout out Brad Hopkins. But that would make sense. That would actually be one thing that would be a new thing in the NFL trade market, like consistency in what the trades would be. But maybe he was like a third or something like that. What did they give up for Hop here? Traded for a conditional fifth that converts to a fourth if Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps and the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl. Oh, so is that a fourth-round pick? Did Hopkins play 60% of the snaps? Because, I mean, the Chiefs, they reached the Super Bowl. I guess that's all they needed to do out of Hopkins. And does that say something about the contract as well, too? Like Sam was saying, the mindset of the team a little bit going into the game if they were putting conditions on reach. And that is, you know, conditions on winning the Super Bowl is, like, pretty specific. And maybe the Titans are like, no, we only do the trade if you do it if you reach the Super Bowl and not win the Super Bowl. We don't trust that you can win the Super Bowl this year. You know, the Titans are like, we think the Eagles are really good. Maybe the one thing they actually evaluated really properly. But I guess you go, is Deebo Samuel DeAndre Hopkins level at this point? Maybe the numbers could be kind of similar. Like in 2023, you know, they're both, I guess, 800 receiving yards. Hopkins only had, how many touchdowns did Hopkins have, Chad? Oh, this is advanced. That's why I'm confused. Last year, in 2023 in Tennessee, it was 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. So very similar all-purpose stats because he's not going to have the rushing capabilities that Deebo has. But you look at what he was able to produce this year in the Tennessee 3-game stretch. You know, maybe was a little bit more disastrous than it was him being not the same level of player. But in 5 games with Kansas City, he was 43 yards a game, and he had 4 touchdowns in those 5 games as well, too. So the Chiefs offense, you know, I mean, maybe they're not the most high-scoring offense in the league as of right now, but him getting them moving the ball down the field a little bit more than some of these other offenses is not more surprising. Him scoring more on the Chiefs than on the Titans is definitely not surprising. But, you know, is Deebo Samuel Hopkins? I still think Deebo, and maybe I'm undervaluating Hopkins at that point, but I would still think Deebo would be a guy that could be your number 2 receiver. And guess what? If you're trading him to the Commanders, you are trading him to be your number 2 receiver. So this is also the part of the NFL that doesn't make sense. Is, you know, that is in the NBA, I guess that's the part of the trade where you get the massive picks package that doesn't make sense. You go, okay, one team is going in this obvious direction and another team is going in this obvious direction. And when you get a trade like the Mavs Lakers, you go, okay, you're going in the same direction and you just want to swap guys. It's like, okay, well, fine, I guess. But, and, you know, I guess, and not just I guess for the Lakers, because, you know, you're getting Luka Doncic out of the deal. But, you know, it's like, okay, we're still trying to do the same thing here. Like, why are you trying to switch players with us and get rid of your guy or whatever? But for the NFL, with those type of trades, like, the Niners are still trying to be a winning team, I think. And I know there's Niners fans that work in the restaurant. So there's, you know, they're like, okay, are we going to trade Ayuk? Are we going to trade McCaffrey? Where's all this stuff go? But, you know, them just trading off even their receivers wouldn't be the move of them being a bad team. You know, that would be the type of move where they're like, okay, we need to try to spend money in these other spots. We need to try to get cheaper, and we need to try to get different type of receiver talent. You know, they bring in Pearsall last year from the draft. Maybe that's another spot that they look to draft really high again this year and bring in the first round, second round talent on the rookie deals, and again, try to get maybe a little bit more cost cutting. You know, they just signed Ayuk to that deal. So you go, well, why do you sign Ayuk and you want to get cheaper? It's like, well, okay. You know, maybe you still are, like, Ayuk still needs to get as much money. You know, look at the other way. Like, Ayuk gets his money. Yeah, the Niners have to be the one to facilitate that. But then if you are able to make the trade, it's all kind of great. You know, it all works out at the end of the day. But if you're trying to win, the Commanders are also trying to win. It's like the 5th round pick, Deebo Samuel. You know, we'll see what they're able to supplement there with the receivers. I'm sure drafting will continue to be a priority. And maybe it's just the signing guys, the Shanahan offense. You can trust what you're able to get. You know, Jennings as well, too. Forget about Jennings. I'm sure. Is he a free agent? If Jennings is a free agent, you know, let's take a look at Jennings. The Colts, man. Draft up on defense, sign Jennings in the offseason. I think we'll be good to go. Anthony Richardson will have the team around him he needs, chat, to win the AFC South. Maybe. We'll see. But I still believe in Deebo as a guy that can be an impact receiver in a way that is more of a go-to receiver than a guy like Hopkins, where, again, you think that maybe you have some of that upside with Hopkins as being an elite guy still, but I think the Chiefs were trading a 5th-round pick to get some quote-unquote like competence a little bit, and that's not to disrespect what Hopkins is as a player, but it's like we need some receiving talent. We need a different look here. We need a guy that we can just trust in certain moments. We don't necessarily need a guy that can take over the game and just be the guy that you rely on offensively to just run all these plays for. Because if you were trading Hopkins for that, obviously you wouldn't have given up a 5th-round pick. That'd be more of a heftier price. I mean, if you look at what the Raiders gave up for Adams and what the Dolphins gave up for Tyreek Hill, I mean, there was 1st-round picks involved in both of those deals. So I'm not saying you should have given up a 1st-round pick for Deebo Samuel, but I think he's more than just, at this point, he's still more than just a guy that'll, one of those professional receivers. He's more than just a pro guy. And I don't want to say like an average receiver because that feels like a different type of thing than, again, just being a guy that's like, hey, on a 3rd and 8, can you get open? Like, that's awesome. Like, you need that type of guy. Like, again, the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl this year. That's still very close to ultimately achieving what you need to achieve. But I think Deebo Samuel is going to be like a legitimate, and that's not, I feel like that's not even a hot take, but he's going to be like a legitimate, you're going to run plays for him. He's going to be impacting these games. And, the health thing is still going to be probably a factor. He's still probably going to play 14 to 15 games. But maybe with the Commanders, they're able to rest him a little bit. Like, they did need some receiver help in the playoffs, that's for sure. So it's not like they have a ton of depth around him to do like a load management thing. But him as a number 2 behind McLaurin, like, I don't know peak of the powers. Ayuk versus McLaurin is probably a pretty good argument. But McLaurin's career has just been more consistent. We saw him probably produce a little bit better than Ayuk as well too last year. So if you said you would rather have McLaurin than Ayuk as your number 1 guy, I wouldn't disagree with that. And if Deebo is a number 2 next to a better number 1 receiver, and if we're being honest, the most important part of the team at the end of the day, of course, is the quarterback position. And Deebo Samuel is just going to be playing with a better quarterback as much as we love Brock Purdy. I would have probably ranked Brock Purdy. I guess we could go back and pull the quarterback rankings up. Probably didn't rank Brock Purdy as high as maybe some pro Brock Purdy people did. But, optimistically, I would have as much faith in Brock Purdy in a moment to run an offense as I feel like maybe the more pro Brock Purdy people would. But you just objectively, Jaden Daniels had a better quarterback season last year than Brock Purdy, and he's a quarterback that you'd probably take to build your team around over Brock Purdy as well too. So it's just it is a better offensive situation, especially if we're just talking last year to this year, or last year to just taking that year as a vacuum and not taking the other years that the Niners offense has been awesome and the best in the league, and Shanahan, and they've been in Super Bowls and all that stuff. But this is like a real shifting move for the NFC a little bit. Like, again, to go to the Hopkins thing, because it's a similar 5th-round pick type value. Did the Hopkins move shift the perception of the Chiefs? Again, it solidifies up, gives them a little bit more of a trustworthy person. Curry with the hook shot. Oh, he's going for it, chat. They're up 9 right now. He's toying around. 4 minutes left. Curry to Moody. Don't give it up now, Curry. Moody to Post. Post will take it himself. Post has got that Thanos mindset. He wants to collect all the Infinity Stones. You can tell. You can see it in his eyes, Chad. But this is a better offense for Deebo Samuel. And I don't know if the play calling is going to be better, but the quarterback stuff's going to be Cliff Kingsbury did an awesome job last year. And it felt like there was often a guy that, and maybe that's just the IQ of the receivers that they had, but maybe that's also the coaching of the receivers. Like, there was just always a guy that was sort of open for Daniels, and there was a check down, there was a underneath, there was an easy route, hot route stuff. Maybe that's Daniels doing it on his own, but there was always somebody there for Jaden Daniels to get the ball out to, even if it wasn't the most dynamic play. One of the secrets of the Commanders' offense was it just kind of kept moving forward. It's not moving backwards a lot. Small gains, they're able to just get it done. And having Deebo Samuel makes them better in a more significant way than I think a 5th-round pick would lead you to believe. I think if he's there for him in the playoffs, that's a move that can be a separating thing, especially, if they're able to continue to try to build out this defense as well too. But with what we saw with Daniels and with what we've seen with Mahomes, like they've been fortunate enough to ultimately get a defense that, has had some seasons where you could say it's the best unit in the league, but they've also won the Super Bowl in the past as well too with that bend don't break style defense, and that's kind of what we saw from the Commanders last year. And if they have those moments in the playoffs this year, or in moments this year, then Daniels on the other end of that being the Mahomes would not be super surprising. And continue to build out this support cast, it's awesome. So I don't know. I guess we didn't actually go through and rank receivers, for the NFL. We did the quarterback ranking. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, that stream is, of course, available as well, too. But, if we're actually saying, like, how many guys would you rather have over Deebo Samuel? The receiver position it's loaded, chat. If we're throwing in the tight ends, if we're throwing in Brock Bowers, there's even a couple more names. But you get the rookies this year. Both of the LSU guys, Malik Neighbors, and where is Brian Thomas, chat? Brian Thomas, his average this year. He's a little down in the 17th in receptions, but up in the yards. 3rd in yards? Where was he at in yards per? There's some bombers out there. But, yeah, higher maybe in the higher usage guys in the yard per as well. Calvin Ridley, 120 targets, 64 catches. Ridley, what are we doing here? They don't have the drops on this one, but maybe for his sake, we wouldn't want to look that up. Christian Watson, of course, deep threat, always way up. There's Jamison Williams, Raheed Shaheed, the usual suspects you'd expect. Alec Pierce, this is what we love, chat. Who would have thought? I wouldn't say that I was the most optimistic in the draft, but I'm all in now. The Spurs, Colts receiving core is, definitely above average. Really, really solid. Would we rather have Alec Pierce or Deebo Samuel? As good as Alec Pierce was last year. And, young guy, 24. I think I would trade Alec Pierce. Ooh. now you're asking the tough questions, chat. Who submitted that one to the chat? Alec Pierce for Deebo Samuel? And see, that's a personal attachment. Chat. See, I would have the personal attachment to the players. I'd be the GM, but I would have the same attachment as like a coach. So the Niners would call and be like, hey, would you do Deebo for Alec Pierce? And I'd be like, oh, I can't trade Alec Pierce. We drafted him. We're invested. He played well last year. We're fine. So, rookie contract, maybe that ultimately works out to be the better deal. But, maybe if it was like, if it was Ridley for Deebo, you'd call that one in pretty easily, honestly. That one, I wouldn't really struggle with that one. But, Christian Watson versus Deebo Samuel, I get there's a health thing there for both of those guys, but, at least Deebo Samuel's been the first team All-Pro. Christian Watson's been awesome as well, too, 9 touchdowns or whatever in 8 games last year. But, yeah, basically anybody here, Jackson Smith versus Deebo, you kind of got to take Jackson Smith. Jackson Smith was a first-round pick. Terry, his own teammate. Courtland Sutton versus Deebo? That's a tough one, chat. I see a poll forming. Courtland Sutton, 29, same age range. So maybe it's not the fairest pro Deebo point. Zay Flowers versus Deebo? Deebo. Zay Flowers has had some moments where, he'll be in and out of games. For sure. Nico Collins is, one of the best in the league, chat. DK, Puka, Jennings. See, the tough thing is you start going like, would you rather have Jennings over Deebo? And this is probably why they make the move, is because of how Jennings played last year. DJ Moore, Pickens. It's tough to make the case and just, like, okay, we can immediately find 40 guys that we'd rather have than Deebo Samuel. But I'm not even sold on half of these names as well, too. I could easily talk myself into, let's look up the contract here, chat. Maybe it's not even as bad as we're, hypothetically saying they're getting cheaper. I'm sure Juwan Jennings is, like, undrafted, making $400,000 a year. Like, it's just going to be cheaper no matter what. It's unfortunate for Deebo, but maybe he's not a 30 million. He's not the Tyreek, Devontae Adams. Not that those guys are, Devontae Adams is not in the $30 million. Well, he is right now, but he's going to get released, so he won't be going forward. But is he 15? I feel like he's a favorable deal as well. So he's an expiring contract, $5 million cap hit this year. He's on a 3-year, $71 million, $23 million average salary. But I don't know. They just restructured, probably signing bonus most of it. The cap hits aren't really that aggressive. And this year, yeah, it's only $5 million. So for $5 million, Deebo for a 5th-round pick, this is crazy. This is Super Bowl type. This is like what the Eagles do, chat. It's a good thing he didn't go to the Eagles. If Deebo had gone to the Eagles, that would have been disgusting. They probably just wouldn't have traded him to the Eagles, to be honest. There's no way you could allow that if you're the Niners. They're not doing business with Philly right after this run. There's no way. But he'll probably get hurt. You know, we just defended Anthony Davis after he got traded, and he got hurt. So Deebo, he'll probably get hurt as well. It's just what it is. It's unfortunate. We jinxed him. But if he's somehow able to withstand the jinx, then I see a good season. You could say that could be because of Jaden Daniels. It's like, well, okay, then it is because of Jaden Daniels. Regardless, Jaden Daniels is quarterback, so then that means Deebo's gonna have a good season. But amazing trade, 5th-round pick, and wasn't even conditional. You know, that Chiefs one did go up to a 4th. So Hopkins is Hall of Famer. Like, he has a little more pedigree than maybe Deebo Samuel does, just the full career stuff. So yeah, I'm not saying that, you know, a 4th-round pick just in terms of who Hopkins is as a name is disrespectful. But the current player, 4th round, Deebo's a 5th round. Where is he at right now for names? Cooper Kupp over Deebo. I'm taking Deebo. Give me some Deebo. Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen. Give me Deebo over Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's 32. Okay, there we go. We found a guy. Alec Pierce, we mentioned. Okay, so maybe Alec Pierce is the one guy we would take over Deebo. The one guy that the Colts have up here. Pickens, Marvin Harrison, Higgins. Yeah, I mean, you know, Xavier Worthy really showed some upside stuff. Dobbs is good. You start factoring in contract. It's the receiver position is brutal. The business of football. You got to be cold-blooded. Some rookie contracts here. You know, Amari Cooper's not going to get traded for a 5th-round pick anytime soon. So, excuse me, chat. Whoa. So we're out of that range. Andre Isovas. He's kind of nice. He had some big plays last year. Kind of like what we saw from him. I mean, Noah Brown's look good. He's on Washington. Hopefully he's still there. Hopefully they re-signed him. Valdez Scantling. Okay, no sleepers hidden down there, you know, besides Tim Patrick. Always. Any team always would be happy to have Tim Patrick. So maybe that's what the Niners will do. If the Niners sign Tim Patrick, then maybe the move is more acceptable. But I'm assuming Tim Patrick would just want to stay on the Lions and try to win a Super Bowl there. Or just go to the Eagles, because I'm sure they would take him as well, too. Tim Patrick out there, 4th receiver, blocking sometimes? I mean, come on. He'd be super additive to the team. They just re-signed Barkley, making him the highest paid running back ever. So how do you invest in Saquon Barkley and how do you keep him healthy? You bring in Tim Patrick. Have him block some of these corners. Have him take out some of these safeties on the edge, chat. Have him put in some work. Tim Patrick will do it. Curry open for 3. 11-point game, 90 seconds. The Warriors. The Knicks, they're not on the Warriors level. The Warriors are a cut above. They pulled away here in the 4th. No Towns is tough. But regardless, I guess that, you know, is Towns worth 8 points, chat? Hopefully. Hopefully he is. But speaking of Curry, I was thinking about, you know, continuing to think about this with Curry and with LeBron as well, too, because I was in an argument with my brother the other day, and it was one of those arguments that I still feel like I was on the good side of the argument, but also, you know, I just on the side that I ended up on. So, you know, sometimes you're like, well, I guess it's first take now. This is the side of the argument that I ended up debating. But, you know, he's a guy. Here's a guy, chat. Collinsworth analysis of our brother. Here's a guy that he's a bit of a LeBron guy, chat. The man likes LeBron. What can we say? He's a Spurs fan like us, of course, at heart, I think, first. But to be honest, I don't even think that's true right now. I think if if he honestly had to choose between giving the Spurs a title right now or giving the Lakers a title right now because of LeBron, I think he would honestly choose giving the Lakers a title because of LeBron. And he would make it up by saying like, oh, well, the Spurs, the Spurs are a younger team, Wembanyama. Like, we still have a better chance of winning a title down the road. Like, LeBron needs one right now. But it's like, well, what are you talking about? The Spurs are your favorite team. You don't want your favorite team to experience a championship. That wouldn't be the most joy that you would get out of a basketball event. Like, it's easy. Like, what would be the most happy thing you could experience watching basketball? It would be watching the Spurs win the clinching game of an NBA title. But I think he would pick LeBron. But, he was saying like, hey, maybe this is, of course, with the Luka trade, now he's got that excitement of maybe LeBron has a bit of a chance. And, of course, LeBron is continuing to play awesome as well, too. And apparently he saw some TikTok about some guy saying that LeBron is Defensive Player of the Year now, which, I mean, LeBron, shout out. He's playing awesome both ends of the court. And he's playing not just awesome defensively, he's playing, I think there's maybe some defensive numbers that show him as like a really high-level defender as of late. So, there's not to say that there's a case that he hasn't been an awesome defensive player lately, but Defensive Player of the Year, and again, Wembanyama's hurt. I don't think LeBron has been the best defensive player in the league for the year, maybe for moments, and maybe he could be awesome defensively in the playoffs when you need him to. But again, if you want to, I get the conversation as well too, and the excitement of the Lakers being, closer to win the title. But he was saying that the comment he had made was, now that LeBron has Luka as like he was saying as the second best player, now LeBron has a better shot to win the title. And I was like, well, no, actually Luka is the best player on the Lakers and LeBron's the second best player. And he's like, well, no, what are you talking about? LeBron's still LeBron. And like, you look at all the numbers, like look at how LeBron is still playing. And now that the defensive thing is there, why would you not take LeBron over Luka? And then that's the point. This is the point of the argument where I'm like, okay, in my, like the teeny tiny corners of my stomach, chat, in the gut, the deep pause, hey, can I say the deepest reaches of the gut? But from a basketball intuition standpoint, like just the little tiny voice in the back of your head, with the way LeBron's playing right now, like it's a conversation. I think, there are certain situations, like if you're building a team, obviously you're still building a team around Luka. You're still building the season around Luka, the playoff series around Luka. But it did get me thinking, chat, about a one-game situation, because maybe this is the only way that we can get LeBron as high up on the ranking as possible. But still, like, there is, I get it. There is legitimate cases that, yeah, if you're, again, franchise stuff, the course of a season, even with the way LeBron's playing, the age, I get it. You're gonna gear toward the younger guys and the guys at the peak of their powers and all that stuff. It makes total sense. But if the conversation is now one game, and you can kind of maybe get a little more quote unquote unreasonable and start not having to worry about the long-term ramifications. And even if you go like a series as well too, 7 games, a couple of weeks, 10 days, even if it's going to be a short span of basketball, the conversation is still pretty similar. But the one game thing, just the intensity of having to win like a 1-game elimination game, where it also becomes a trust factor as well too, where it's not just what players are currently the best players and what players are currently the players that are, we're not just ranking the best players in the league. It is in the biggest moments who are playing the best. And if I absolutely need a basketball result to go my way, we could, with the space stuff hyping up because of the asteroid and, maybe some of the scientific advancements, but if we need to bring back the alien conversation, a game against the aliens, or if it's just a 5-on-5, basketball game. Oh, the other part of the argument that I should mention as well too, that he was saying was, he's like, well, LeBron's probably going to be first team All NBA again. It's like, well, no, he's probably, he might be like second team second team would make total sense, and that'd be an awesome season for LeBron, top 10 player in the league. But he's like, what are you talking about? It's LeBron James. How is he not one of the 5 best players in the league? And I was like, well, you got Giannis, Jokic, and Shea, and probably Tatum are 4 of the 5 right there. And then the Cavs are the 1 seed in the West. So you got Mitchell in as probably a lock for the 5th spot on 5th team. I guess it's an early All-NBA team, chat. But, the names are the names, especially for that top spot, especially with the politics, of course, of some of the top seed stuff with Mitchell specifically. But he's like, if we're talking about the skill stuff, like how would you actually take Mitchell in those type of situations over LeBron James? And again, I'm not saying that you wouldn't. I'm not saying that there's not a case that with the way Mitchell is playing this year, that it wouldn't make total sense to have him over a name, even though LeBron James is still LeBron James. Or, again, with Steph Curry is Steph Curry. But as I was thinking about this one-game situation, as I was thinking about the trust that I would have in these guys, again, with what we're seeing with LeBron right now, would you not want to take LeBron in a one game over Luka? I get the Luka is probably about as much as trustworthy of a star that we have too, going to the finals last year, and with the way that he's starting to, continue to put the pieces together after being back from injury and getting his footing back under himself, for his game. But LeBron, the numbers are kind of the same. The offensive production is kind of the same. I get, again, you would go, well, Luka's younger. Luka has the durability, like whatever you want to say in that factor of it. You can't, for the defense, can you even say that Luka at his peak is a better defender than LeBron for a game or even a series? It's a close argument, chat. And it's just a much closer argument than, again, the longer term season team building stuff. And the season is even, a little bit closer as well too. Once you start factoring in the long term stuff, we get it with LeBron. It becomes a much more different, a much instantaneous, maybe a much more eventized type version of the thing. But also we can see it translating it definitely translates to winning basketball as well too, because we see him getting the Lakers back up to the 2 seed. But again, not to rank the players in the NBA, but if we were just thinking about the guys in the NBA and we'll kind of put LeBron and Steph on the same tier of player right now. Because I think right now, and Steph right now might even be above LeBron just as like a best guy on a team. But I think some of the number stuff that LeBron, and even the way he was playing without Luka, again, if some of the defensive stuff can kind of round out in there as well too. With 40-year-old LeBron, is counting on him to be a defensive menace the proper thing? But probably not. But those guys that we mentioned for first team All-NBA, of course, Jokic and Giannis are going to be two guys that you're just taking in any type of game scenario. As much as, Shea doesn't have the pedigree at this point, like, is there an argument right now, I guess? Who are even the locks? So we know Jokic and Giannis probably locks over LeBron and Steph at this point for, if you want, see, even one game, you want Jokic and Giannis or Steph? It becomes an interesting conversation, but I still think Jokic and Giannis are the two clear-cut number one guys. So you're definitely taking them. Oh, wait, this is points per game here. Jokic being third in points per game is actually nuts, Chad. That's just the efficiency as well. I mean, 44% from three-point line. Apparently he's not leading anymore. It's not bolded out. But he might be number one still. He has to be. Oh, Luke Kennard, 45. Cooking him. Ty Jerome. Of course, Ty Jerome. I mean, would you rather have Ty Jerome or Steph Curry? So we know you're taking Jokic, Giannis, and Ty Jerome off the bench. If we're just taking guy in his role to perform at the best, Ty Jerome is the most sure thing in the league right now, outside of these other star players. But, yeah, let's say, I guess Luka is, we'd have to do the injury sort here to get Luka's name. 30 games played. We'll put Luka in tier 1 as well, too, because like we said, he just made the finals last year. So you probably got to put Luka in tier 1. But again, for a one-game situation, chat, Steph versus Luka, I think I'm taking Steph right now. And I think that's just a personal choice, but I would rather, it becomes like a who do you want to captain the ship situation. Like we're saying, Jokic, he has to captain the ship. If any of the guys in the NBA, Jokic has to captain the ship. Giannis has to captain the ship. If we're going down in a game and Jokic is paused and Jokic is off the board, and who else do we have in the league? It's like, give me Giannis and just whatever happens. Giannis is the guy, and I'll live with the results of him as the best player on the team. But Steph versus Luka, I don't know if I can decisively say for one game I'd rather have Luka than Steph with the way Steph's playing right now. I think to me, it's either or, and I would just prefer being on Steph's ship, essentially. Is that a pause? But in Steph's group, I would vote Steph, I guess, is what I'm saying. I would be at the Steph rally, but in a situation, Steph versus Luka, that's at least a conversation. Tatum versus Steph, Tatum versus LeBron, Tatum versus, maybe LeBron is, like we're saying, a little step behind Steph at this point still, with LeBron as the 40-year-old. And it's just Steph is having more moments here as the actual best player, where now, in the way that we were penalizing Davis for playing with LeBron, like, are we going to be penalizing LeBron just 2% for playing with Luka? Just it's like, well, what if he had a little bit of a worse player? But Edwards versus Steph or LeBron, like, Edwards is awesome, and Edwards has the mentality of a guy where the problem is once I pick LeBron or Steph, now Edwards is mad, so I almost have to pick Edwards to not make him mad, to just keep that version of him from being playing against us. But assuming he doesn't just become MJ with how furious he gets over us taking Steph or LeBron, I think I'm taking both of those guys. So I guess I forgot Shea is sitting up here at the top. Yeah, Shea as well too. Probably taking. I would be kicking myself in one game for it. That's the problem. You're taking Shea over LeBron, then LeBron's just working the offense. He's driving to the basket. He can't be shot. He can't be stopped. It's like the finals all over with Steph, where there's a play in the fourth where he's driving to the basket and Shea's standing there and he barrels the shoulder into Shea, gets the and one, and he does like the whole like Superman shoulder flex thing, and it's like now all of a sudden, LeBron's team is up on my team by 8 points. And I'm like, why didn't I just take LeBron? Why didn't I just take the second greatest player of all time? He's still in the mix. I mean, 20, what is he at right now? 24 a game this year, 51% from the field, 39% from three. That's on the season. And we know his numbers have actually kind of gone up since he's turned 40. He's actually playing a little bit better, but he's one of the more, I mean, is there like a true shooting number that we can look at here? I guess they had effective field goal percentage on that page we could have looked at. Of course, Mikal Bridges leading the league in minutes. Tatum, does the fact that he have no aura matter to why we haven't brought him up yet, chat? I think he's just next up on the list. Oh, we're looking true shooting. Is LeBron up here at all? Okay, so maybe it's a faulty 50-40. I guess he is 78% on the free throws, so that probably does bring, because I'm sure the freeness of those free throws is probably valued pretty highly in the true shooting percentage. But do they have effective field goal on this one? They don't. Oh, I guess we have the little VORP here, since we're on this page. I mean, look at that. LeBron is 5th in VORP, chat. 5th in VORP, and VORP. We're talking about VORP here. Value over replacement player. Haven't you guys heard of it? It's an important stat. Guys like that stat. It means a lot. Box plus minus. He's 7th. The amount his team is outscoring the other team when he's on the court is 7th. Curry's at 6th. I mean, this conversation is perfect. Davis is at 5th. Davis is better than both these guys. R.I.P. to Anthony Davis. R.I.P. to Kyrie Irving. R.I.P. to the Mavs and Nico Harrison. The entire franchise is just done now. It is what it is. The Luka trade was, the basketball case, it is what it is, but it's clear also that it was just bad omens. It shouldn't have happened. Whatever curse, jinx thing that it brought upon him, it's clearly taken effect and it's hit hard right away. It's not good. But, Wembanyama, chat, like one game Steph versus LeBron, I don't think that's even a conversation. Wembanyama's awesome, but he's just not at that point in his career yet where you would trust him in a one-game scenario over these other legends. He's an awesome defensive player, and you would, again, be insanely worried that he would wreck the game, but there's just an offensive thing that he's kind of lacking a little bit, and he's just a little bit of a step behind some of those guys. And if we're taking even, I guess we're kind of vacillating back and forth between the first-team All-NBA conversation as well and this other conversation. But Wemby's not even in the mix for All-NBA. So if you were going to make a first-team All-NBA case for him over, if you were saying, is it LeBron, Mitchell, and Wemby for first-team All-NBA? Well, guess what? Wemby's out of that conversation now because of injuries. So now it's like at least one less guy that LeBron has to worry about there. And now it's like, okay, is it LeBron and Mitchell in that conversation? Is it, Steph, like we're saying, is also there. Who knows the Knicks if they continue to have a hot stretch down the season. I guess Davis is probably not seeing that happening either. But, he's in that mix for that first team spot. But are we taking an aura-less Tatum over LeBron and Steph? I mean, maybe the strongest auras that have ever been in the NBA. Do we need to do an NBA aura ranking at some point? I think we do. IT, write that down, because the fact that nobody has done that yet is shocking. But we will do an NBA historical rankings maybe Friday. Who knows? We'll see what else is on the docket. Entertainment-wise, it'll be Mickey 17 in the NBA historical aura ranking. Stay tuned, chat. Lock it in. Subscribe. It's going to be a good one. But Halliburton has been really awesome lately. I saw his percentages were really great, and he had like some historical assist to turnover ratio over a 5-game span that was pretty awesome. And him and Chris Paul were like now one of two guys, the two guys that have ever accomplished that type of thing in a game. Amen Thompson, we take an Amen Thompson over LeBron and Steph. But sometimes I really like box score plus minus. Sometimes it really helps prove your point, man. It really is a good stat. Sometimes it has Wemby fourth, just sitting there honorary for us. But, Shea over Giannis is not ideal. We'd have to really... Win shares per 48. Here we go. Just put... Oh, Shea. It puts Jared Allen over Giannis. Wait a second. Go back to box score plus minus. Okay, here we go, chat. Back to normal. Jokic, Giannis. Jokic, Shea, Giannis, Wemby, Anthony Davis, Steph, and then LeBron at 6. I think this is an almost perfect way to put it. And then Tatum Tatum right there, kind of behind those guys. And then the second team, depending on the game, all that stuff, like Edwards will rise up out of this category as a A+ guy. Halliburton is an A+ guy. Cade's another young guy rising up as well too. Like these guys, Tyrese Maxey. Like we got to do, I guess, again, the injury sort if we want to find like Luka. And Paul George. Where's Paul George's numbers at on the box score? Is he in the conversation? Steph Curry or Paul George? Let me think. Is it a podcast or is it a game? Maybe I'll take Steph for both, honestly. But no, Paul George is good at podcasting. Do we miss the podcast? Podcast P, where'd you go? No, focus on the basketball, Podcast P. Lord willing, there'll be lots of years for you to be podcasting and doing all the entertainment, off-court, post-career player media stuff that you want to do. The basketball, and to be honest, Paul George, like as a guy that's not playing, as a guy who's already done playing basketball, his basketball career is over, focus on that basketball career, man. I get that there's other things that, multiple interests. It's, you got time, and I get that there's other things that you want to do. I'm just saying that you're going to miss those basketball years when they're not there. And the fact that you have an opportunity to play basketball this high of a level, there's nothing wrong with continuing to focus on it as much as possible since you're being paid $40 million a year to do it. But Mobley, Sabonis, Sengun, like these are all guys that, again, the team building stuff, Mobley versus LeBron, I get it. Great conversation. Probably going to take Mobley there because of the age and, Towns. Like how far down the list do we need to pull the trade value rankings back up? And, we get it. Bill Simmons has LeBron in the 40s, and now it's like, would you rather have Jaren Jackson or LeBron? Like, what's the conversation? But I'm just saying right now, it's honestly like these are the guys. It's still Jokic, Giannis, Shea, LeBron, and Steph. Sorry, Sam. Is Sam in the chat? I'm taking Steph over Tatum for one game. It's just what it is. Maybe Sam is say the same thing too. Again, maybe he just takes the Tatum highlights over the Steph highlights, but if he's actually trying to win a basketball game, he would just admit the truth and take Steph over Tatum. But Tatum, the playmaking, the all well-rounded game, that box score plus minus is right behind LeBron. Like he's impacting the games almost as much as LeBron is, and we're still seeing LeBron put up near peak LeBron levels. The defense maybe, bringing it down a little bit. And Tatum's defensive number being close to LeBron as well, too. That's not good. The offense being the thing that's kind of the point behind him. Where's LeBron at for offense? LeBron's 5th for offense. Where's Steph? Is Steph down a ways? Or was he number 1? Yeah, it's always the guy. It's always too high up on the list is the problem. I just expect him to be lower. Steph number 3. Giannis. So, I mean, I guess we could just look at the advanced stats or basically proving what we're saying is it's kind of the 3 MVP guys to me and then Steph and LeBron right now as, and, you know, Luka as a weird, like, he's going to impact the games, but he's not going to impact the awards as well. But Luka would be the only other guy. And I guess Luka and LeBron being together really does prove, our brother's right, chat. The Lakers, man. They're going to win the title this year. LeBron's going to win that title. Bronny's going to win the title as a rookie. Greatest rookie of all time. Oh, somebody just logged into our Sling account and it kicked us off the feed that we were watching. And it just is, I'm just now looking at the thumbnail for the presidential address, chat. Yikes. Do we need to look it up? Okay, I'll second screen it here. And maybe the audio of it, they'll not be too picky about. We'll monitor closely. But we'll see if we can get a live reaction here. Oh, they're just tuning in. Live applause. Oh, is this like perfect timing? Chat, this is like peak Rem and Sam potting. We've got Steph, I guess the game is over, but we've got college basketball on the one screen. We've got the NBA box scores on one screen, and we've got a presidential Congress address on the other screen. I mean, what is going on? So much to keep up with. First round of applause is already happening. I'm not even sure what he said. It probably was like, it probably wasn't nothing. Is there odds on the salute? I saw that there was odds on a bunch of stuff.
They are now officially in the same
on things that he would mention, topics, how many times, over, under, how many times is he going to mention, you know, other countries, certain political movements. Taking the over on all of them, chat. All of them. What do we have? How many viewers will it get? Less than 34 million. Who will applaud during the speech? Nancy Pelosi? Fetterman? I can see Fetterman with like sort of a low key at one point. Maybe if the room really gets behind something. Mitch McConnell, yeah, he's not going to clap. He's not going to remember to clap. He's not going to remember he's there. Ocasio-Cortez, 2%. Omar, 9%. Schumer at 46%. Bernie, yeah. Hakeem Jeffries, 59%. Pelosi at 17%. They're clapping a lot right now. Oh, maybe for a good cause? I don't know. Is this a veteran? I guess I missed what they're... You know, there's always a person in attendance that's being honored, and that's always, you know, a good thing. Shine a light on an American hero. Hopefully this is not a controversial American hero. It's a tough call. It's like, you know, one of the more controversial presidents, to say the least. If they were to call you and be like, hey, we want to give you an award for your great service into this country, be like, hey, are you accepting the award from the president, or are you accepting the award from the country? You know, how are you compartmentalizing that? But, you know, you can't blame anybody for taking a presidential medal or anything like that. You know, you work all, I guess you don't necessarily work all, I'm just saying, you know, the opportunity for you to get one of those, like, depending, and I get that maybe depending on who the president and what you're doing as well, too, can affect that. I'm just saying in theory, the odds of them being like, hey, we've done and I'm not saying them, I'm just saying President blank, you know, does the work, is like, finds a guy, girl, person to honor, and, you know, it's like a legitimate cause. But if it's like, you know, again, this type of situation where maybe they're like, okay, we don't stand with anything that you say, I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't blame a person for being like, okay, I'm going to still accept the medal from the country in that standpoint. You know, higher civilian honors that you can get. The cartels? What's he saying about the cartels? Did Trump just watch Sicario? Is he getting fired up? Next thing you know, Trump's going to start hiring Benicio del Toro to go in there and eliminate the cartel, which may actually be one of the few moves that would be a good move. Benicio del Toro. I'm not saying, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, if the cartel's doing if they're doing bad things, the bad things that the cartel does, you know, they have to stop, chat, obviously. But I'm not saying, I'm not calling for Benicio del Toro to go light up a bunch of cartel guys. I'm just saying that Benicio del Toro in a role in government might actually be something that would be beneficial to the American people. What is where do his allegiances lie, chat? I don't know where he's at, but he seems like a good dude. I would trust Benicio del Toro. Speaking of NBA trust rankings, Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, and Benicio del Toro is what it would be. But is there like, is this just like a general, it's literally, see chat, we have no idea what's going on in politics. Is this a general address? Is there like something specific on the agenda that is to be addressed, but also, you know, he's just going to hit all these other topics. It's like, while we're here, I might as well give a speech. But I think we're just general address to Congress. Did he like call a press conference, or is this scheduled, you know? Is this a post-game meeting, or is he just have something to say? We're doing all kinds of amazing things. Wonderful things. We'll leave the Trump impressions to other people, more skilled people, chat. Somebody in IT start workshopping an impression of some of these political people. We need to start doing skits. We can get some IT with some of these guys in some makeup, some costumes, some tasteful, you know, appropriate sketch makeup. But if we can just get him in the right looks and then get a guy really getting the, I don't know, maybe it might be like a Kanye Drake thing where it's like, even the comedy of it, it's like, you know, it's just the thing still at the end of the day is in your feed. Like, that's when it gets really bad, like we're saying, chat. It's like we don't even want to hear jokes about it at this point. We're good. It's like we just don't want anything in the feed at all. Keep the mind clean, keep the thoughts pure. As I'm literally just watching the address right now. But hey, the fate of the country's on the line. I gotta panic with everybody else, right, chat? We all panic together. Oh well. Who's even up next for TNT, chat? Oh, Lakers. It was Clippers Suns that was firing up. Shout out Durant, who, like I'm saying, could be in this mix still. I think he easily could be in this mix for the top of the guys, and easily should be. If we looked at the numbers, he is right there with these guys. Is there an injury? Do we have to injury sort Durant too? Dang it, Durant! Stay on the court. What are we doing? Or mouse pad just work? The live struggle to get the mouse pad to click on the Alex Reese. I think that is actually related to Angel Reese. But Zion. Interesting, chat. The offensive box plus minus. Yeah, Zion right there with James Wiseman. So maybe there's still hope for some of these guys. Jahlil Okafor lit up the league for the few minutes that he played. The 3 minutes that he was in. He was awesome, apparently. But who are we just now looking for, chat? I already forgot. Oh, Kevin Durant. He might just, odds are he's actually probably just way lower down on the list. So Kevin Durant, he's not like sneaky up high on the list like I thought he might be. But he could be if he was on a good team. If he had other people around him to help him make him look good, Kevin Durant might still be able to produce. If he was on, say, the Spurs with Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox and Steph Castle, he might actually still be able to produce like quite the player. Would not be shocked. But, and I know that's not maybe like too, like saying like LeBron and Steph again are in this top 5 type mix. It's not too far off from probably even just the general consensus of where they're thought of at normal. But the league was ready to hand it over to the young guys. And there is probably could still be a greater conversation of whether or not the league does need to prop up the younger stars for the long-term success. But at the end of the day, you know, the stars, the league can't really make the stars. The league can try. I mean, David Stern and Adam Silver can pull the strings the way that they want to, and they can try. But, you know, the fans are going to make the stars. The moments are going to make the stars. And it's not just the fans making the stars here. It's not just that LeBron and Steph are still the most popular players in the league, which has been the balance right now. Is Edwards going to ascend to be the best player, but are LeBron and Steph still going to be the most popular, but not quite in the realm? And then now, you know, our most popular players are like the 17th and 18th best players in the league, but that's not happening right now. LeBron and Steph are still 2 of the 5 best players in the league. 2 of the 6, 7, 8 best players in the league. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't, you know, LeBron, we're going to make the case for first team or whatever if you want to put him that high up there, but he's going to be on second team. Top 10 player in the league once you get out some of these injury guys as well, too. There's just no doubt about it. And especially if the Lakers are the 2 seed. If the Lakers are the 2 seed, that honestly makes it about as easy as anything to put him at the first team spot. And the only case would be that Mitchell, just in the Cavs, as whatever their record would be so impressive that they would just have to have a representative. But if we're all being honest, it's like, well, we'd rather kind of see LeBron in that spot anyways. And for him to be first team All-NBA level at 40 is, another historic thing that is probably a whole episode in itself. But the league hasn't shifted yet, chat. It just refuses to shift. The league, LeBron and Steph won't give it up. They won't give up the league. They still run the league. And I know Steph we can say it now because he won against the Knicks and didn't just lose to the Sixers. But, LeBron, he needs some Luka pause. Like, Steph needs Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was out there tonight and they were actually able to win. It wasn't just them getting past the Sixers. It was them getting past a weakened Knicks team, a little bit. Not fully healthy. But regardless, these are still the impact guys that you'd want. The league, Edwards is still awesome too. And Edwards has levels to go. Edwards, maybe, did he take a massive leap the way that we thought? He kind of did. His numbers are all right there. So it's like, once we see Edwards in the playoffs, that'll be the moment where the leap is truly determined. But in the regular season anyways, LeBron and Steph are still outplaying these guys. And maybe that's even the most impressive part of it. Because if we got to the playoffs and those guys were impacting playoff games, we'd be like, oh, of course LeBron is still able to play well in big moments. Of course Steph is still able to play well in big moments. But it's the night to night of them being the best players in the league and them just dominating all these teams and them consistently going out there and not just giving the effort, but the production follows and it's not slowing down is what is truly impressive. And, the playoffs are truly impressive. Of course, what's more truly impressive and what is ultimately the legacy defining stuff. But just to get to watch a guy at 40 every night go out there and be the best player on the court is mind-boggling. And to watch Steph still at this stage continue to add things to his game and be a better player, and the confidence is unmatched, and the shooting ability doesn't, it's almost even more deadly than it was before. And it's just incredible that these guys continue to do this and that they're still 2 of the 5 maybe most impactful players in the league. Is I don't think it's bad for the league either. I don't know. I can't do the math on the marketing of the long-term stuff of what it could mean or whatever, but I don't think it's bad for the league if LeBron and Steph are still a part of these guys. Again, if the impact is there and if they're still able to, and if they're able to be in big moments, I guess that's the thing. Can the team around them, can they be in the playoffs and have a couple of moments where the league can market a moment as well too? Because let's be honest, as much as the league would love to sell the future of the league as, the NBA Finals this year is Anthony Edwards versus Jason Tatum, and the Celtics are trying to repeat as champions, and Tatum's trying to set himself up as the next young star, but here comes Anthony Edwards, and here comes the next Michael Jordan, the next Kobe Bryant. there's going to be that one point in the finals in the intro video, the shot that molds from it goes I don't know who would be Dominique to, who whatever the progression would be from MJ to Kobe, and then it would morph into Anthony Edwards, and it'd be is he next? And, they would be, as much as they would want to sell those storylines, it would be even better a Western Conference Finals of Stephen Curry versus LeBron James. It's still the best. It's still the most marketable. They're still the top 2 guys, and they still run the league. It's incredible. The 2 people that we actually don't want to put term limits on, they're actually the ones that are good to go. As long as Steph and LeBron want to dominate the league, and as long as they want to be the face of the league, it works. I'm happy with it. You know what I love sitting down on the couch and watching? Steph Curry and LeBron James be awesome at basketball. As much as I love the young guys, maybe again, this is an episode where our transition into being an old man phase, chat. We're going in for a haircut soon, and we're getting scared that there's going to be comments, but what, if they happen, they happen. It is what it is. So, you just roll with the punches, but the gut punches of what the barber says. But if LeBron, this works. This is fine. The league doesn't need to move away from it. If again, they're fortunate that they continue to play this at this level, but that is okay. And there's nothing wrong with historic things being historic, you know? And it doesn't necessarily need to start handing it off to younger generations and younger people and the next thing and start worrying about that. I at some point they will have to, but if this is what it is this, man, this is like the crazy, this is how you know we're just needing to wrap it up, chat, because we're just going around in circles. But it is this because it is this. Like, again, it's because they're dominant and because they're awesome and because they're still winning. It's not because they're just popular and because there's a forced thing of, oh, well, they're not, the people in the league aren't gravitating toward Edwards. We still have to try to push LeBron and Steph, even if they're not the best players in the league. Guess what? You can still market LeBron, you can still market Steph, and they're still going to go out and kick everybody's butts because of the best players in the league. It's just what it is. So I think, is that the best way to sum it up, chat? Is that the best way to try to say it? We're stumbling over our words. It's that time of the episode to start winding stuff down, chat. It's just what it is. LeBron and Steph, they got us worked up. Is that a pause? Hey, yo, we can't just say worked up and then leave. So, but yeah, we're on YouTube. We're on, of course we're on YouTube, chat. So you can subscribe here if you want to. Stay tuned for that Friday episode. Like I said, is Mickey 17 releasing this week? I don't know. I need to relook at the movie schedule. I still got to lock back in on the idea of focusing on new movies. But man, I guess we're not old men. It'll be like riding a bike. I think we'll be able to pick it up pretty quick. But yeah, we'll be on the social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, Blue Note and Deep Note, Deep Seek, whatever is out there. It's a Rem and Sam podcast it's podcast is in the title, so we haven't got away from the podcast platforms yet. We're still on Apple. We're still on Spotify and all that stuff. But good luck, people. NBA is still here to comfort you if your speech gets a little out of control. We can go back and, speaking of Steph and LeBron, there's still the highlights of all the good. We have the good times. They're still happening, but watching those old highlights, like I said, those old Russillo pods. Maybe we need to get some old Russillo pods from 2016. Those Steph, LeBron, 2016, 17. Do we need to listen to the Decision Russillo pod? Where's that feed at, chat? Anyways, I guess we have to log out in order to do that. So we'll take off for the night, chat, and we'll be back later this week. So thank you guys for hopping on with us.